9 to noon on a Tuesday morning. Club's going up. What's going on? Billy Schmid, Armin Sarian in the iHeart Megaplex. John Kuhn clocked in, ready to go, and you're at 414-799-1974. Gentlemen, off and running. We go into the NBA playoffs, the play-in games tonight. Little different than we maybe had anticipated. It looked like for the last couple of weeks we were going to get LeBron and Steph in a must-win game, win or go home 9-10 game. Instead, the Lakers push up to the 8 seed. They'll take on the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Winner of that will be the 7 seed in the Western Conference, and the 8 seed will be determined coming up later on this week with the winner of Warriors Kings, which had a dramatic Game 7 last year in the first round. Steph Curry went for a 50-piece in Game 7 in Sacramento. What does he have up his sleeve tonight? We shall see. And maybe we shall invest on that a little bit later on when we get to the Coons Can't Miss. What's happening, boys? What is going on this morning? Tough finish for the Crew last night. Looked like, John, we were going to get all those runs that we needed thanks to a Joe Ross blow-up inning. But, man, it was 3-0 out of the gates. Crew started out fast and hot under Pat Murphy, and then the wheels kind of fell off, left a small army on base on Sunday. A little similar thing yesterday. But now we're into Game 2. And more importantly for us, fellas, we are into the You Better You Bet dinner tonight. How are we feeling? How are the appetites feeling this morning?
Yeah, I am so excited for this. This is like one of the highlights of our calendar year, our 9 to noon calendar year. Wouldn't you say, Armin?
Yeah.
If we had to rank our highlights, I mean,
Nooner Day is the first thing. Right.
Nooner Day, what you'd put Nooner Day number 1.
I think Nooner Day is our best thing. I'm just saying for us as a show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah.
Nooner
Day's awesome. Nooner Day's awesome. But I like when the Bucks were making that run, just doing those shows were incredible.
Oh, right? Yeah.
That 2-week run of shows through 6 games in the NBA Finals. That was pretty.
That was awesome. So I thought you meant like annual planned events. I didn't think you mean like
aside from any of our teams and what we get to cover on that end, it's definitely Nooner Day, and then You Better You Bet dinner 1-2. I mean, definitely 1-2. And You Better You Bet dinner is really close because this food, Billy, tonight. Have you ever eaten at Carnivore, Billy?
No.
Man, I love deflowering people at Carnivore.
Mm-hmm. That's a way of saying take the V.
What? Yeah,
it is fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first time eating.
I took Armin's C card. I took Armin's C card
awesome.
Straight to Carnivore.
Carnivore card, yes.
Got him eating all kinds of stuff he wasn't anticipating. Yeah. Got flags in his steak. Got accoutrements in his drinks, those dehydrated citrus slices.
Oh,
I mean, he was blown away. He had a fantastic time. I love that stuff.
It's just such a great place. It's a lot of fun, and you're right. It is exciting now that we got Billy. I mean, I'm fired up because you never know what kind of avenue the night turns. You never know what road down the night is going to be. Sometimes it's a lot of fun in terms of just a nice dinner with nice conversation. Sometimes it gets a little wild with the story. That's what's great because depending on who comes, we never know what stories we're going to get, what questions we're going to talk about, and things like that. Remember, we had Mike from Franklin last year, John, that started chucking bread around the place.
Mike from Franklin
got us kicked out.
Fight?
Yeah.
He was throwing bread over his shoulder, and then the black card got denied. We thought we were going to have to wash dishes.
Telling us stories about the Army from the 60s and what the different ports he would get into. And different.
The year before, we had Dan and West Ben there. He drank so many gin gimlets before everybody showed up that he had gifts, and he forgot who the gifts were for, and he was giving the gifts to the wrong people. The year before that, Jordan Greenfield showed up.
That was awesome.
He had his vegetables before dinner, which turned into a wild entrance out of him.
So we never know what to expect. I would say is what makes it super fun. So I'm really excited about this. I'm excited Billy's coming too. So it's going to be awesome.
You guys just laid out a whole lot of different reasons to be excited. I mean, goodness gracious, that was a laundry list of different things that I could expect tonight. So am I supposed to bring gifts?
No.
Okay, because otherwise I can't. I mean, we can figure that out.
No, what happened was we'll tell the story. What happened was Dan and West Bend, I guess, brought us some stuff, but he forgot. He
forgot exactly who the gifts were for, and then he.
So you guys open it and then White Elephant steal whichever ones you like.
Billy, he gave me a gift, and as I got it, I'm like, "Ooh, thank you," and then he goes, "Oh wait, that was for you to sign and to give to Armin."
Yeah.
So I mean, the surprise.
He gave John something to sign, a shirt to sign. And then I got it. I'm like,
oh, that's good.
Sure.
That's good. I'm a fan of this. No, it's going to be a wild night. I'm excited. I'm very, very pumped to be welcomed in. And more importantly, I'm excited to see Omar and the crew over at Carnivore. Like, I mean, that's one of the best parts of it.
That's the highlight is the food, obviously.
And then at the end of the night, where do we go? Do we go to Potawatomi? Do we go to the Hotel Casino Sportsbook? Do we head over to find a cigar spot and watch, the late night game here between these Western Conference Finals teams? You got Warriors Kings. It should be a great elimination.
It should be a lot of fun, man.
We could catch out one, after dinner, go grab a stogie, watch that game together. I mean, you never know, but it's an awesome night.
Yeah, the idea of hanging out is a great time and a great idea prospect. When you say
the idea,
when you say stogie, have a little PTSD from the last time I almost burned my face off. But other than that, we're going to
say you lost your nose, lost a little bit of that playoff beard that you're potentially starting to grow out a couple of months ago.
It actually wasn't that bad, thankfully. But I did at the time kind of freak out because I was like, well, what just happened here? But it was good. It was a lot of fun, no doubt about it. So we'll see where the night takes us, We'll see.
Sounds
like
you're backpedaling on out of doing something.
No,
he's not backpedaling.
This is Armin. Did you not hear him?
Armin
the idea of hanging out.
Armin gets 2 hall passes with Laura to be able to go out and be a man's man, and this is one of his hall passes to be a man's man, and we will man up with Armin tonight.
One year, our You Better You Bet dinner was after Nooner Day, which was the day before my bachelor party.
Jesus!
So that was a wild day for me. It was Nooner Day. You Better You Bet, and then the next day I was leaving for my bachelor party, right? The next morning. So I kind of was like,
did you crawl out of that place?
I was getting into it that night a little bit. I thought it was, we really got into it now because you know me. Tonight,
that's a great kickoff to a bachelor party.
It was great. I'll probably you know me. At some point, I'll roll with the excuse of, well, we got to work tomorrow. It's not a weekend or something. And you'll probably hear that from me at some point tonight, and then I'll get pushed back on that. And I'm like, all right, let's hang out for a while. It's that whole process. But that night there was no excuse making because I was like, the party starts now. You guys,
it starts today. It starts right now.
You Bet is You Better You Bet dinner is the party.
That's legit. That's what I'm talking about.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, this sounds like a night that, Damian Lillard needed to have in the city of Milwaukee. Because according to Stephen A. Smith over the weekend, fellas, doesn't seem like Damian Lillard's enjoying himself in the city of Milwaukee. Doesn't seem like he's enjoying himself at all playing for the Bucks. He said his play looks like it. And this got swept all around yesterday. People panicking, people frustrated, nervous, angrily yelling and screaming. That Stephen A. Smith decided that maybe the Milwaukee Bucks need to move on from one Damian Lillard. Threw this out into the ether. The internet sphere went crazy with it. And then started to retract it just a little bit on First Take. However, you can listen to the rationale by one Stephen A. Smith. And then we're also going to talk about it and then have Trey Crosby, who's a noted Stephen A. Smith fan, discuss it at 10 o'clock when he joins the program. Doesn't want to be there. Doesn't look like his play wants to be there. That's on NBA Countdown. He then had to go and discuss it more with one Shannon Sharp. And Shannon gave a little bit of pushback to it. He tried to clarify potentially what he thought he was saying. But he made it pretty clear as to what he wanted to say. He wanted to make it a point to say, John, that it don't look like Damian Lillard's enjoying himself there in the city of Milwaukee. Bucks fans are a little bit nervous about it. He goes 2 of 14 in their final game. And this is a conversation until Damian Lillard said, this man's on Captain Planet over here. Guys, capping all over the place. What was your take yesterday when you saw the Stephen A. Smith audio leak on out about what he's trying to say about Damian Lillard, Agent Zero for the Milwaukee Bucks?
I think everything is on the table with the way this season has gone. Everything is on the table. And I'm not going to say it as egregiously as Mr. Steven did, but I will say, if we go out and keep in mind, the Milwaukee Bucks had a big three that had won a championship just 2 years ago. And you go into the failures that were the first round last year. We know Giannis was nicked up, but we still had some coaching issues, most specifically that last play there in game 5 that turned into an absolute debacle with Giannis covering the ball instead of being under the rim. And you ask yourself the question, maybe the coaches, maybe there needs to be a change on the bench. That change was made. And then how are we going to facilitate this roster? And when you look at a Dante DiVincenzo, go to where he is now flourishing and having an incredible year, and you look at Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday and kind of the switch that took place with this roster, and you're saying, well, where is Dame time? We got a couple of Dame moments this year, but where is Dame time? This trade that was made for Damian Lillard was supposed to take it over the top. We know what we lost with Drew Holiday, but what did we gain with Dame Lillard? The playoffs is supposed to be Dame time. The playoffs is where Dame Lillard makes his mark.
Has for a long time, yeah.
And he has that moment now in the first round, and most possibly and most likely, at least in game 1, without Giannis Antetokounmpo, our leader and captain. So Dame, step up, make your name, make your presence felt, and I think this all goes away. If not, Billy, and especially if Giannis comes back and there is not a fluid type of dynamic between the two of them offensively, and Dame struggles in this first round, then yeah, I can see the Milwaukee Bucks exploring the possibility of Dame for other assets.
Well, and I think everything will be on the table if indeed what you just said happens. And what Stephen A. Smith was getting at with the statement, they lose to a 6 seed in the first round to a young Indiana team that has not looked good since they acquired their second star in Pascal Siakam, Armin.
They haven't. Yeah.
Then guess what? Everything should be on the table, right? Like I know that there have been a lot more now re-litigation of the trade that was made 3 days before training camp, right? And you mentioned not only Drew Holiday, but the way Grayson Allen has taken off after they shipped him out of town over to Phoenix. He grabs a 4-year, $70 million extension just this weekend because of the way that he's played as a role player there in Phoenix off of the deal. It does beg a question as to what that team would look like if they were still here. But then that was also a team that got bounced in 5 to an 8 seed in round number 1. Like, so to expect that there wouldn't be changes last year after how disastrous the exit was, I think is a little bit ridiculous. Same deal this year, though. I mean, you go out in round 1, Armin, when your expectations are to go and win an NBA championship. Sure. You got 2 top 75 players of all time. I'm not saying everything's on the table, and that means Giannis ain't going anywhere, but everything else is pretty much on the table at that particular point.
Well, that's the way this thing works because that's the way it was last year. Everything was on the table. I mean, the Bucks didn't fulfill expectations last year, obviously, as well, and they had a much better regular season going into it. There were much more expectations, so you do lose in the first round to an 8 seed, where the guy you did trade from, and you talk about Drew John, part of that big 3, and you know, Drew, always going to love him for what he did. And it won't be taken away either. His name will be up, number will be up one day, all that stuff. But the reality is he's one of the main reasons the Bucks did get bounced in the first round last year. Jimmy Butler had his way with him, unfortunately. We don't like saying that because we like to fetishize what Drew Holiday did for us in the past, but that's the reality. So the Bucks felt like they had to move on and take this opportunity in front of them. I don't think there's one person in the world that would have said, go get Damian if you can, if you can do this. Now, it hasn't been what we thought it'd be in the regular season. That's true. It hasn't been what we thought it'd be, but that doesn't mean it still can't turn into something better in the playoffs. And even if it doesn't mean that's still not the best option for the Bucks moving forward. We'll cross that bridge when it gets there. I think it's fair to say everything should be on the table, but I think you have to take a long, hard look at what your realistic options would be if you were deciding to move on from him. Are you actually going to get better or not by trading him? You're right about what Grayson Allen's doing and what Dante's doing. They have bigger roles now and they flourished in them. Dante,
I don't know. He was never going to get that.
Was not going to do it here. Grayson was playing well here. I think that's one reason you were able to trade him for an asset, because Grayson did have value. He played well here. It's just, was Grayson going to be the 2 to bring you to another title? No, it's not. He's flourishing.
He's still looking for that final shot of last year.
I mean, he's flourishing in his role, and that's great. And I love Grayson when he's here because I thought he was a value type shooter that was efficient and everything like that.
Pissed off Badger fans. Yeah, and you loved that.
Well, let's not get into that. It's nothing to do with it. But
maybe a little bit.
But my point is, and then he's flourishing there. That's great, but that also doesn't mean the Phoenix Suns are going to win a title too. So they could be saying the same thing.
True. Yeah.
Oh, we're investing money, but is this going to be the guy? Because everyone everyone's has championship standards and expectations when they tell themselves, right? Especially when you have Giannis or when you have Durant. So that's what makes this complicated. Let's see what happens in the playoffs. If playoff Dame comes out and if playoff Drew comes out, it could be a totally different story.
Well, and if you really look back to last year, Armin, if you truly look back,
right.
you think it was injuries that gave us the nerves going into the playoffs. Injuries is what we were worried about. Chris was injured all last year. Giannis with, what was it at playoff time?
The back.
It was the back at playoff time with Giannis. So there were some things going on there that we thought, if we just get them back together, when they're together and when they were together during the season, they were fantastic. But it was a couple coaching errors that we saw there throughout the first round. We saw some timeouts. We saw some misuse of Giannis defensively. And we marked those things. And we even had Butchie, our basketball connoisseur from the state. He said right here after that game 5, I think it's time. I think it's time to make a move. Yeah. Now, all these moves have been made. We feel worse going into the playoffs. I can't ever say that when this team was clicking on all cylinders. I can't ever say this team was clicking on all cylinders, except for a tiny little break after the span after the All-Star break, a tiny little span after the All-Star break where they were clicking on all cylinders. And now's the time that they need to flip the switch. I think there's a couple of questions in mind here. You know, when you talk about it, is Giannis a superstar that's difficult to play with? Not is he a difficult person, but is it hard to really find the right role as the true number 2? Or as the Robin to his Batman? Is it difficult? Is that hard for Giannis, or is it hard for Dame to fit into that role?
Well, I also think it's hard when you haven't played with anyone similar to him, right? Like, I mean, there aren't many guys similar to Giannis in the way that he impacts the game on both ends. And Dame's never had anybody like that, right? Yeah. Like his best player alongside of him for the majority of his career was another guard in CJ McCollum. I saw Kenyon Martin going back and forth with Gilbert Arenas this weekend about Damian Lillard never made anyone better. Completely disagree. Like he's absolutely made a lot of guys much, much better basketball players while they're in Portland. But alongside Giannis, has he found his right, the right concoction as to when he feels like he can unleash, or has he kind of tempered himself? And we've noticed that they are a different team when both of them are on the floor, when one of them's on the floor, and when none of them are on the floor. Yeah. We know once we get into playoff time coming up on Sunday, I doubt, as long as both of them are healthy and Giannis does play game 1, there won't be a moment that neither of them are on the floor. But if he doesn't play in game 1, people on here, Bill and Madison, everything on the table, meaning firing Doc. I think everything's on the table. I don't think they're firing Doc. I don't think they're going to pay 4 coaches in 4 years.
4 coaches.
However, everything that we mentioned about Damian Lillard, all things can be righted as well by Doc Rivers, I would assume, during this postseason, because everything has not been copacetic since he took on over here for 39 odd regular season games. It has not been great. It has not gotten much better, but all those wrongs can be righted with 7 games against Indiana, 7 games against potentially the New York Knickerbockers, and 7 games against hopefully not the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And Bucks fans are going to be feeling good if the Bucks get to 3 wins, but they're also going to be crapping their pants waiting for that 4th win, because we know Doc getting that 4th win turns out to be the hardest for him.
Worst place for the Bucks to get into this.
But you need
3-1.
But you need to get there to get to 4, right? So it's a wild, wacky ride right there with that one. And I'm telling you, when you start really looking at the big 3s that have been around, or even the big 2s that have been around, man, the guy, even LeBron, he passed the torch to Dwayne Wade at a lot of moments, and he was fine doing that. Yeah. LeBron, he passed the torch to Kyrie, and he was fine doing it. LeBron passed the torch to AD, and he was fine doing it. You look back at those Boston teams, Paul Pierce, hey, he had no problem fitting in any of the roles that he had to fit in with Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett.
Sure.
No problem at all. Right now, is it still just weird between Dame and Giannis? Is it still just not comfortable?
Well, I would say this. I don't think there's 1 ounce of Giannis that wouldn't be fine, ceding the role to Dame if he knew Dame was going to finish it off and win the game. I don't think there's ego
involved. He said it to start.
It's not about
he's going to have to close it.
I don't think there's ego involved. I think it's a matter of Dame doing it. I mean, when it's come, a lot of it's come down to this year of Dame's just got to shoot better and be that guy, right? And there are sometimes we see it and sometimes we don't. I know this thing, when the lights get brighter in his career, Dame's been doing it. So that's why I keep saying, no matter how uneven things have looked, I'm waiting till the playoffs to make my judgment, because that's when the legacy's made anyway.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, if it comes to a playoff game, especially one that Giannis dresses in here in this first series, and they're in the first quarter and they dare call Brook Lopez out there and take the ball out of Dame's hand and give it to Brook to shoot, a 34-foot, 3-pointer, I'm going to lose my mind, because that is not it. And I'm convinced they were doing that stuff in the regular season just to get to the finish line. And now they're here, and now it's playoff time, and it's Giannis for the first 3 quarters and it's Dame for the fourth.
So we played a little sound from ESPN on Stephen A. Smith. On the other side, you're going to want to hear the sound that was this morning on ESPN by one named Brian Windhorst, who's potentially been trying to blow some winds of Giannis Antetokounmpo out of Milwaukee
for 3 years.
For 3 or 4 years. Oh, don't worry. He fired it up this morning as well. He fired it up this morning on Get Up as well. We really want to upset the masses. We got this next as well.
Couple notes from the Nooners for tonight's You Better You Bet dinner. Casey in the Falls wants to remind you, Billy, that basketball shorts are frowned upon, but they didn't care about basketball jerseys with Drew and Greenfield, so you might be fine still with the basketball shorts.
I think you might be
Aaron
okay.
Aaron in Milwaukee says, I hope Josh enjoys his meal tonight. Josh is not coming, not making a cameo at this, but we do have a special guest here tonight from the 97.3 The Game gang. That'll be fun. And then Andy in Brookfield says his goal tonight is to turn Armin into Frank the Tank.
That'd be awesome.
I could get on board with that.
That would be awesome.
I'm not losing control.
Armin running down 3rd Street, taking his shirt off. We're going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium
through the 3rd quarter.
And then all of a sudden, Laura's driving by in the minivan. Goes, Armin, get in the car.
Get in the car.
What are you doing? We're going streaking. Everyone's here. John and Billy are not here, Armin. Get in the car. Well, Andy in Brookfield is with me. No, he's not anymore. All right. And oh, by the way, department, 414-799-1973. Yeah, I did not forget the phone number. I read it off wrong.
Oh, did you? I didn't even caught it. I should have caught that.
Luckily, the talking text line did.
I gave a phone number from high school the other week, so it's fine. We're good.
414-799-1973. Maybe see what happens with it. 414-799-1973. More on this Bucks start against the Pacers. Brian Windhorst. Here's some wins about Giannis, and Tristan in Wausau has an interesting thought about the ownership side for the Milwaukee Bucks, and a good thing to note today about the Bucks ownership. I'll tell you next. It's 9 to noon on The Game. It's 9 to noon on The Game, hanging out with you on YouTube and X. Thanks for being here. Also, statewide on the Game Radio Network. Some news. I don't even know that this is breaking news. It's from Adrian Wojnarowski a couple of minutes ago, literally right as we went to break. He put it on out. ESPN sources. That's how we're tagging it now.
I don't even
no
know if
longer sources. They are ESPN sources.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is this
gotta
worth
be
breaking?
selfish.
You got to tag them. I don't even play the music.
It's not worth the theme. Right?
I don't think it's worth the theme.
I agree.
The Milwaukee Bucks are preparing to be without two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo for the start of their opening round series against the Indiana Pacers, writes Woj. But our hopeful treatment on his left calf strain will allow him to return sometime later in the series. See, that's not news.
No.
That's exactly what we knew yesterday. However,
they're preparing for it.
Yeah. Preparing. I was also preparing to, at some particular point in time, play quarterback in high school.
There you go.
You know what I didn't do? Play quarterback in high school. So is he going to potentially miss game one? Yeah, for sure.
I'm prepared to do a show on stuff like
I'm still not guaranteeing the fact that he's not playing there. Now, this one is very interesting. I don't know if this is ESPN sources or if this is Brian Windhorst sources or Brian Windhorst fart in the wind, hoping, praying, begging John and Armin that he can finally cover Giannis on either, I don't know, like 76ers, Knicks, Nets, Cavs, anywhere that's not Milwaukee. Brian Windhorst just moments ago on ESPN's Get Up with one of my least favorite human beings in sports broadcasting, Mike Greenberg. That
what a dork. I mean, what a dork. This guy is basically what these guys do every year is basically the double down theory in roulette, right? They're gonna double every time until they win. Right. And guess what? It ain't happening. Like I can tell you,
quit asking.
He's just being, I just don't like that. I know he's being dishonest. He knows where Giannis is going to be next year. He doesn't really believe that Giannis is not going to be here. Come on. He doesn't.
But he's not necessarily saying exactly that, Armin. He's saying they got him. Hey, this whole thing goes as Giannis goes.
Yes.
Right? There have been moves made because Giannis has influenced those moves.
Very much so. We've seen that over the last year, John. Good point.
And the one thing we've fawned about Giannis is he has always wanted to do it in Milwaukee, at least to this point, at least to today. But if something goes awry here in the playoffs once again, we have to be prepared as a fan base to understand that one of these years, there is a potential, and I'm saying potential, that Giannis goes, all right, well, I did win a championship here, but it's not working to get back there to win another one. I'm going to go do it somewhere else. We have to be prepared with that. We've seen it too many times in the NBA to think that it is a fantasy, that it could never happen, but it can potentially happen someday. I hope Giannis never does it, but that is the truth.
I agree with that.
The Bucks aren't kicking Giannis out. We know that, but if Giannis says he wants to go, the Bucks have no choice. We've seen it in the NBA time and time again.
I agree with that. You're right about that.
Doesn't seem like it.
We should always be vigilant that one day these guys might leave. Nothing is forever. You never 100%. I agree, but it would mean a lot more to me when he says that if Giannis didn't reaffirm his commitment by signing an extension recently. Now you
6 months ago.
There's 6 months ago. Yeah. Very recent. Yeah. Now you could say there's reasons to do it, reasons to not. The initial thing was he wasn't going to sign until this summer, right? Because of the way the cap
he was going to make more money.
So then I might have said, okay, maybe I'd start wondering if the Bucks lost in the first round 2 years ago and he still hasn't re-signed. But I don't understand how many times this guy has to reaffirm his commitment for people to believe it. But I just don't think he really believes Giannis is leaving Milwaukee. Okay, so the fact that he throws it out there is just silly to me. But I understand what he's trying to do now. what you're saying, John, is true. One day it will happen. One day it will happen, and we have to always accept that reality that there is a percentage possibility that it could happen. I get that too. I tend to think it's more likely near the end of a career where, guys kind of travel around maybe right before retirement or right before they leave.
Hey,
that's very
like
common.
Steph Curry like Steph Curry even might do.
Almost every great player, even Jordan did it at the end of their career. They traveled around.
Yeah, and that's fine.
That's fine. I understand that.
But not all great players. No,
like Larry didn't,
No, I'm not talking about stayed. Not all great players.
No, he's talking about like Kevin Durant style, who also demanded a trade about a year after signing a contract extension and had 4 years left.
Kevin Durant, LeBron James, James Harden.
There's a bunch of them. We know he's not that guy, though.
LeBron's never demanded a trade.
He's not that guy. He's not that guy. But, okay, so similar to LeBron, though, Giannis has done this. Giannis influenced the Drew acquisition.
We think.
Did he not?
We think so.
We think so.
Yeah.
He went into that offseason saying, well, I want to see the type of commitment that this team has.
Sure.
Yes.
Right now, Giannis influenced that. Many of us believe Giannis influenced Bud's firing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
We believe
Did
that.
Giannis have anything to do with Dame coming into town?
I also think so.
Did Giannis have anything to do with AG being fired mid-season? Okay, so did Giannis have anything to do with Doc?
Potentially, but go ahead.
So there's a lot. And when does Giannis finally go, well, man, all of these things that we have, it's still not working. I'm going to have to go somewhere else. I'm just saying we have to be ready for the possibility that one of these times, instead of saying, what's the next move we make here? He says, what's the next move I make that's not here?
Okay. Yeah, 100%. It is laughable though when we need it for 3 days before, 4 days before the playoff starts, right? Like, I mean, it's great. It's a great need for content for them.
It's
on
a great
this
time
Tuesday.
to do it. Nobody played last night,
right? No one played last night. They got games on Wednesday. They don't even have the games tonight, so they're like, might as well throw a little something in the fire and see what sticks. 414-799-1973. That's what Ram in the North Side called. He wants to get in on this. Ram, good hearing from you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you mean by that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they got the Ram. They bought the team and they got the bid from Senator Cole because they said they weren't going to move the team.
Correct. I don't remember.
No,
that.
they didn't.
I don't remember.
No,
that.
they didn't.
I don't remember.
I appreciate the call, Ram. Thanks. But that's actually not what happened.
Didn't
actually,
happen.
today, 10 years ago, is when they got introduced as the new owners. One of the reasons why Senator Cole sold it to them at $550 million price tag, which at the time, Jim Osarski, fantastic piece this morning, sits down with Wes Edens. And it is a very interesting part of the dynamic over the last year, John, that Ram brings up. Because Mark Lazary did bail, right? He did say, hold on. We paid $550 million for this. Someone for 25%, I have 25% stake in this, is going to give me $800 million. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Right? Like he's did that. And now Jimmy Haslam is also helping write some of the checks. So there is a dynamic shift in the ownership of the organization. Could that over the last year have soaked in and marinated and then looked at certain players in the organization and they say, yeah, it's not the same place. Yeah, for sure. That absolutely can happen. That absolutely can happen. But for what was being said there, this ownership group, at least Wes Edens a massive part of it, one of the two principals that came on in, the reason why they got the team at somewhat of a discount there from Herb Cole was because they were not going to move the team.
Herb would not have sold him if he couldn't.
He had offers that were bigger, that were going to potentially move the team.
Stay in Milwaukee. And the one thing I'll say, Ram, yeah, Horace, the way Horace got the job was kind of, he was just a chair available type of thing, right? But I think over time he's proven his ability, at least his desire and his ability, by being very aggressive in that chair. So I can't really sit here and blame Horst. He's the reason we have a contender, in my opinion, besides Giannis.
The only thing I'm bummed about is I didn't cut in. I took my coaching from Red Eye Scott, and I did not cut in on Ram when he said he was the hooper in him. And I just needed to know, does he have that duffel bag in the car with 2 pairs of shoes, one indoor, one outdoor, 2 balls and one indoor, one outdoor, a pair of shorts and a tank top or long sleeves, depending on what he wants to wear that day, and maybe a neoprene sleeve to put over his knees, because he is obviously an aging hooper, but a hooper for life. So I would need to know, is that duffel bag still in your trunk, Ram?
I'd assume it is. Yeah, I'd assume it is. He coaches too, so he's got a bag of like 10 or 12 basketballs, I assume, back there ready to go, because you got to run some lines. If you're going to be coaching, I'm going to get up into the layup lines. Not missing that daily dozen. 414-799-1973. The WNBA draft last night. The W. Caitlin Clark was the number 1 overall selection. That was not the talk after the WNBA draft. We'll get into a little bit of what that was and then get it back to the Bucks coming up when Trey Crosby joins us in about 20 minutes from right now. It's 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Armin on the game. NBA playoffs are here. The play-in tournament starts tonight, and there's no better way to watch the games and get in on the action than with the Underdog Fantasy NBA Pick'em game. Hey, it's Billy Schmidt. I love the Underdog app, and tonight I'll be partaking in the NBA Pick'em game. All you got to do is pick between 2 to 5 players, select higher or lower on a player stats. That's it. And if your picks hit, you can win up to 100 times your money. You can infinitely pump your odds up, your possibilities, if you can play with one of their Scorch stats, which multiply your odds. It's legal in Wisconsin. It's tons of fun to play along while you're watching the games here tonight, the play-in games. You might not be wanting to stay up for the West Coast games. You can get in on the first half stats, first quarter stats. It's all at Underdog. It's super easy to play, even easier to get started when you download their app. Make sure you sign up with promo code Billy, BILLY, and you're going to get your first deposit up to $100 matched by Underdog. Plus, they're going to give you a mystery special pick to use on your first pick of entry. It's like a free dub right out of the gates. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code Billy, BILLY, to get your first deposit up to $100 matched. Plus your special pick. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms do apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Trey Crosby's going to join us in about 10 minutes from right now. His latest tweet at TCIIIESQ. One of my favorite things just to read on off here. Wild in reference to the Giannis.
And you do better with that than the phone number. So, I mean,
way
that's
better.
awesome.
Yeah, somehow way better than that.
I can never get that. I tried doing that 100 times. Messed it up.
I'm going to say it right now. I thought they were L's. They're I's, right? They're capital I's.
Trey
capitalized.
He doesn't take L's.
Holds no L's.
Fair. Good point. That's a good point.
It is. It was actually way better than I was like, damn, that was a money quote
really
right
good,
there.
John.
He said wild in regards to the Giannis Antetokounmpo. I guess news that he's not going to be ready for game one. We knew that the Bucks are preparing for him not to be ready for game one. Again, my man was listed as doubtful for game one of the NBA Finals in 2021, but we'll leave that right there. I still want to pick the Bucks, but if you shot me up with some truth serum right now, I'd probably say Indy in 5.
Which is crazy because Trey never believed in Indiana being a threat for a month ago. So,
happy to be wrong on that, though. He says, LOL. I would hope so, John Kuhn. Indy in 5. They're going to win one playoff game again in that suggestion. And we're not even going to make it to draft night again. Last year, I was anticipating sweating out game 6, Friday night of the NBA draft or of the NFL draft. I had another TV brought into the little cubby hole studio that we had at Lambeau Field. I don't know if Wayne was going to enjoy it, but we were going to have Bucks heat on, and then didn't have to. So they got bounced on Wednesday night. We don't get to May again with playoff basketball in the city of Milwaukee. Goodness gracious. Yeah, there will be some wild changes done if they lose in 5.
Which tells you everything you need to know about the way the Bucks finished the season. We know they went 3-7 in their last 10, and Trey was just on our show about 3 weeks ago, and I asked him about nearly every team in the East, and he straight up said he believes you need a superstar. He didn't believe in Cleveland because he didn't think Donovan Mitchell was that type of dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't believe in the Pacers because he didn't believe that they had that type of dude. He told you about 76ers, he told you about the Heat, and he told you about the Celtics. He didn't mention these other teams. And now he's saying one of those other teams, and we believe the Bucks have 2 of those dudes in Dame and Giannis, and yet he still thinks Pacers in 5. Wow.
Man, that's something else. Let's go to Kavika quick before timeout. We get to Trey Crosby here from On Your T's and Q's. Kavika, you're on 9 to noon. What's going on? Good morning.
You know, in regards to the Bucks ownership, they've done everything and beyond that they're, supposed to do to bring a championship home. I mean, they spent more money than one or outside of maybe 1 or 2 huge market teams. I mean, it's just like they're giving the general manager the checkbook saying, here, whatever you need to win a championship. And, I can't figure it out. On the screener, I mean, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
Winning a championship, but I just can't figure it out. And, I mean, who thought Dame was going to be so bad this year? Not that he was so bad.
Sure.
I mean, he's
Not living up to the expectation of what you thought he would, right, Kavika? Yeah. Yep. There we go. Oh. Yep.
Why are they playing Denver? Can we get 2 and through this first round? I know, but can we get 2 and through this first round yet?
Hey, Kavika, appreciate it, man. We really got to go. That's a good call. Because, John, it is true, right? I mean, they have done a lot. They have spent a ton of money. They have spent a bunch of luxury tax money to get there. Damn, Kavika's going through it, dude. I think a lot of Bucks fans are. You want to feel some kind of optimism, but it is tough right now.
Hey, it's been a couple years since the 1 seed made it out of the East. That's all I'm going to say.
Let's go.
It's been a couple years.
Yes.
It's been several years now. It's been some time.
The screener should have reminded that to Kavika.
Yeah, why did you not?
I don't know. The screener.
Son of a
I'll have
gun.
to talk to the screener.
Yeah, let's have a conversation with that screener. Figure himself out. Figure out what he's got going on here. Maybe stop thinking about, maybe
Do you change your voice when you answer the calls and screen them?
I don't know. I don't know.
You
About,
must.
I'm gonna.
There's no that voice right there is recognizable.
Should I add Screener to my profile on LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn, yes. Now
As soon as you put your actual radio station
Right.
and the fact that you're on the show, yeah,
that'll help too. Yeah, that'll all help too. 414-799-1973 over at Potawatomi Hotel Casino Sportsbook. Bucks yesterday when we did this gut check to win the series, -225. Right now, -140. Lot of value there if you think the Bucks top the Indiana Pacers. This Gex guy said that he hopes he's wrong. Doesn't see it right now. He's Trey Crosby, Cream City crossover post-game show you listen to and watch after Bucks games on X. You hear on your T's and Q's right here on 97.3 The Game Saturday mornings, and you hear Trey Crosby Tuesdays at 10, 9 to noon right after this when he joins us on The Game. 9 to noon on the game. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's 414-799-1973. If you want to get a part of the program, you want to join the call, and you want to, you know what, more importantly, John, say hi to the screener, because he's a new member of the radio program. You may have met him. His name is Screener. And then Armin Sarian is here as well on 9 to noon with Kuhn, Billy, and Armin. And now we welcome on our friend Trey Crosby on your T's and Q's Saturday mornings, Cream City crossover post-game show after each and every Bucks game, and 9 to noon on Tuesdays when he hangs out with us at 10 o'clock. Trey, most importantly, man, we got to start right here. We got to start with this tweet that I just saw at TCIIIESQ, all capital letters. You know exactly where it's at. In regards to Giannis potentially being out for the first couple of games of the series, Wojnarowski saying that they are getting ready and preparing for him to not be playing. Trey Crosby says, wild, still want to pick the Bucks, but if you shot me up with some truth serum, I'd say Indy in 5. Trey, Indy in 5? They're going to win one playoff game again this year? We can't have this. You got to at least get to May with playoff basketball.
I'm not feeling too confident about this. That news really, again, I don't know what I was expecting. I was hoping probably against hope that Giannis was going to tough it out. You know, you saw what happened in 2021. And you're thinking, you know, maybe something like that is going to happen. But clearly it's not. I think this means at least, like you said, at least 2 games. And that was kind of my thought as well. You know, starting this thing off, once you hear about the injury, my first thought is, okay, if he's going to play, he's probably going to start off the series in game 1. Because with this type of injury, it just doesn't make, like, if you can play on, so they're going to play Sunday, right? If you could play on Tuesday, then you probably could have played Sunday. So there's no reason to play game 2 and not game 1. So if he's going to miss, you know, he's got to give himself some real time to heal. He's going to miss multiple games. And so that's what it's going to be. Instead of coming in on the front end here and really, you know, being ahead of schedule on his injury, he's not. He's probably still going to be coming back a little bit early from the injury, even if he's coming back on game 3. The only thing you can hope for is at that point a split. I think the best case scenario is Giannis comes in game 3 and he's got to help win the series with 5 games, basically a 5-game series, and it's tied 1-1. Outside of that, I mean, I just have not seen enough from Damian Lillard, Chris Middleton, and that entire crew to give me the reason or belief the Milwaukee Bucks can keep pace with the Indiana Pacers. Now, if you ask me, could they? Should they? Yes. I mean, because if you're thinking, you've seen what Damian Lillard is and what he's been in the past. There's a scenario where if this is Portland Dame, well, Damian Lillard just goes out and gives you, 40 plus on both of those nights, and you wait on Giannis to come back. That guy has not shown up. So, I mean, unless he's gonna magically wind the clock back and he's showing up for game 1 in the playoffs, something he hasn't done pretty much all year long. It's just going to be rough, and I think you're really hoping to get a split and hoping Giannis comes back in full strength in game 3. Otherwise, you're kind of cooked.
Considering this injury, Trey, should Giannis wait until he's full go, like 100%? Because by your philosophy, if he can play in game 2, he can play in game 1. But you think he comes back in game 3. If he can play in game 3, though, couldn't he also play in game 2? I mean, it's a weird dynamic here. Should he come back if he's not 100% considering this injury?
I think let's say he's going to come back in game, let's say the earliest he can really come back is game 3, realistically. If they're down 0-2 at that point, I think you have to ask the question, does it make sense? Does it make sense to come back down 0-2? If it's 1-1, okay, maybe we can get you back. Maybe there's – so I to answer the question, I don't know. I think, there's a scenario where I would do it if I was him. And, again, I don't know what it really looks like. I don't know how bad it is. I don't know if this is more precautionary versus he really can't go. I go to my grave thinking that in 2021, I watched Trae Young dance up and down the sidelines while the Atlanta Hawks played the Bucks, and he had like an ankle injury and couldn't play. And I still think he could have at least given it a go. He just chose not to. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I'm at a loss for words, guys. I'm just stunned. I'm having a hard time trying to process.
Well, it's definitely the most negative you've been on, at least talking about the Pacers, because you have not been afraid of the Pacers the entire second half of the year, right? I mean, this was a team you thought was totally cooked, that Siakam ruined them, that Halliburton wasn't the same. I think a month ago, you would have told me you wanted the Pacers in the first round. It's just, I think, is it that the Bucks have been so underwhelming that we're so fatalist right now about the Bucks, and we just don't believe they can even win game? I mean, I see people. You're telling me one game they're going to win. I see people saying sweep up and down. It's just hard for me to believe that it's this dire. But I don't know. Wouldn't you say you've changed your tune based on the fact that it's the Pacers, because you used to want them?
You're right. There was a time, especially when Halliburton came, when he was fresh off of that hamstring injury coming back, he looked like a shell of himself. He has played a little bit better, but that Pacers team, at the end of the day, they can still score the ball. They can 100% score the ball. So you're either going to have to find ways to stop them, or you're going to have to keep pace with them. I guess my biggest thing is just look at what the Bucks have been throughout, the end of the regular season, backpedaling in. Losing to Magic, losing to the Grizzlies, losing to the Wizards, losing to those caliber teams, not being able to score at the pace you'd want, not being able to do things. So again, even if they're Indiana Pacers, and when I'm looking at them and saying, oh, they're not all that, I'm not saying they're, terrible. I'm just saying from a perspective of teams that are looking to win a championship, teams that are focused on the Larry O'Brien. The Indiana Pacers don't give me championship caliber vibes, not yet at this point in their tenure. The Milwaukee Bucks should be that. They haven't shown that, but at the end of the day, I'm looking and saying, okay, the Bucks have Giannis. Once you take Giannis out of that equation, yeah, it's everything up for grabs. I mean, and again, I hate to do this, but I do it. Take Giannis away from this team and put him in with like an average player in his replacement. Does this team win 35 games? So again, I question. Yeah, I don't know that they can go out and really compete with the Pacers based upon how they played without Giannis. Or not just without Giannis, with Giannis, but especially when you consider Giannis is going to be in lineup, you're losing 30-plus points a night.
All right, if Giannis has his Giannis miraculous recovery and he plays game one, do you change your tune here? If he has a miraculous recovery and he plays the series from the start of the series, are you changing your tune?
Yes, my original pick was Bucks in 6. That was my mindset going into this. So that'll be a tough, hard-fought, drag-it-out series. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing about the Pacers is their defense is so bad. They do not have answers for Giannis. They show in Giannis' career high against the Pacers. He had a 50-burger in one of those other games against the Pacers. They cannot stop Giannis. There is no answer at all for Giannis. Now, again, they add Pascal Siakam. Cool, that will help. They cannot stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. But, I just really – if Giannis is there, if he's playing, yes, that's why I give them the edge, and I say the Bucks can motor through. Without Giannis, you basically lost the cheat code, not just for any time in the regular season, or any time in the playoffs, but especially against the Indiana Pacers team who can't even try to stop Giannis. That is your get out of jail free card with the team that, could maybe, I don't know, play the Knicks, play these other teams. I don't know what the Bucks are going to look like. Your get out of jail free card is Giannis coming in and wreaking havoc against everybody. Because then, I looked at the Bucks offense. The Bucks against the Orlando Magic the other day, the last game of the season, it was literally Damian Lillard and everybody staying around. Bobby Portis gets the ball on the block, everybody staying around. There's no movement, nothing going on with this offense. At the very least, you give the ball to Giannis, and he can just create so many things that are going, because it's all Giannis by himself forces movement from the defense. Mm-hmm. Without it, I don't know how they keep up. And then I haven't even gotten to the point where, again, so I'm just talking about on the opposite side of the ball. Giannis is also your best defender against a team that they can easily put up 130 points a night.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what you just explained was why he's first team All NBA. Unlike Doris Burke thought, maybe Jalen Brunson should have been the first team All NBA player. And first,
did you see Kendrick Perkins put his ballot in and had Giannis second team?
Jeez.
Why do you
first
think,
player ever to average 30 plus on 60% shooting? Yeah, definitely not first team All NBA.
You guys think that? Why do you think this disrespect happens? You think they're just bored by Giannis' success?
Because I think they are in New York, and as Aaron Nagler, who does not care about the NBA, will still say, nothing is bigger in New York than the New York Knicks when they're good. So like they can get swept on up with it and say, well, Jalen Brunson's the best player in the Eastern Conference. I mean, are you kidding me? This guy's amazing. He should be winning the MVP. We'll leave that for another day because we could do 5 hours on that necessarily. And I would like to at some particular point in time with Trey Crosby on your T's and Q's Cream City crossover postgame. I wanted to get to one other tweet that you had about this situation, Trey, because we were discussing it. Stephen A., your boy, I know you're a big Stephen A. fan, had said on NBA Countdown, validated it, doubled down yesterday on First Take, saying that if the Bucks do get bounced by Indiana, that they should explore a move for one Damian Lillard. You said worst case scenario wouldn't just be losing this series. Worst case scenario be losing this series to Indy with GA missing 2 or more games and pretending like the only change needed is Giannis to be healthy. This is how things snowball. If the Bucks lose, they need to clean house. In your opinion, what does clean house mean?
Yeah, I think that means the continuation of what you started last year, which last year was Drew Holiday's gone, Mike Budenholzer's gone. And you didn't use an injury excuse. You use the injury excuse for Chris, and you say, okay, obviously not Chris, but Giannis. You say, okay, we can kind of tinker some things here. When I say clean house, I mean you get rid of the rest of it because that was a core 4. It was that core 4: Giannis, Drew, Brooke, and Chris. And I think, and again, I'm not saying you do. Let me back up. I'm not necessarily saying that you do things that don't make sense because again, I wanted to trade Bobby Portis, but a Bobby Portis for Grant Williams did not make sense. So
definitely not to Bobby Portis either.
Well, right, but you explore. But like I said, if you could have done Bobby Portis, if you could have somehow gotten DeJounte Murray, I would do that 10 out of 10 times. Yep. So, but again, he didn't get moved, so it's a moot point. But yeah, I think you definitely explore. I think Brook Lopez to me has got to be. To me, he's the one. He's got to go. You got to get more useful. You got to get more athletic at that center position, at the 5 position. I think you have to try to find a way to get somebody who's a little more mobile so that your base defense isn't the drop anymore. I would probably try to get out of that, but that's another story altogether. But yeah, Brook Lopez, I'm looking at Chris Middleton. I don't know what you can get for Chris Middleton. I'm looking at Damian Lillard. What I'm looking at, maybe it's got to be John Horst. Everything around his basketball team has to be examined. The only thing that doesn't is Giannis. So what I'm saying when I say clean house is Giannis, you're here. Everybody else, we're evaluating everything. And again, there have to be major moves. And I mean, that means like the Pat Connaughtons of the world. Gone. Your bench has to be guys. I'm not saying they have to be all Andre Jackson types, but they've got to be young, youthful, energetic. I mean, diving on the floor for loose balls. Again, think about this injury. A calf strain for Giannis really is almost like you're just being overworked. Well, think about it. Chris Middleton, how many games did he play? How many games did he play where he was on a minutes restriction? All of that time means Giannis has to be on the floor even more, carrying this basketball team. And so, again, does that overtime add up to the stress that caused this calf injury? I don't know. It could be a freaking – I don't know what it is. But, yeah, I think you have to take all of those things into consideration, and you have to make some hard decisions about what this team should look like going into the future. Because, again, I'm going to say why Adrian got fired, but why did the team look the way they did? A lot of it was because they just looked slow. I mean, so many other teams just off to the races, and the Bucks like a slow, old, wily group of veterans who are just going to turn on in the postseason. And now they're injured, and so yeah, that cannot be an excuse this year. It's been an excuse ever since the title run. Chris Middleton in 2022. Giannis last year being hurt. Giannis hurt again. That can no longer be an excuse.
Trey, I'm going to throw something out there here as we talk about this series, a name. And that I think is going to be key and pivotal, especially if Giannis does not play in these first 2 games, for the Bucks to at least get a split at home, or just play well, just play really well. And that name is Pat Beverly. What are your thoughts with that one?
Pat Beverly's going to be huge. That was the guy that we actually talked about last night on Bucks in 60. He's a guy that, again, we talk about you needed some defense. You need to be able to get stops from Indiana. The way I thought the Bucks could have a chance to win a series is basically you keep up with Indiana. You're keeping up with them from a pace standpoint offensively, And then late in the game, you just need to make a couple more stops than they can. And a guy that can do that is Patrick Beverley, who can get his hands on balls, who can get deflections, get steals, draw charges, be a pest. Maybe he can frustrate Halliburton at times. All those different things. No, 100%. Patrick Beverley is a really good player, and he's especially good when he's hitting that open shot. But again, even a guy like Patrick Beverley, the floor just it shrinks so much when Giannis isn't in that lineup. Because how many times, I remember that the first game they moved Beverley to the starting lineup, I believe Giannis, I'm trying to remember that one. I think the first game of that was Beasley going out. They moved Patrick Beverley in, and Giannis was there for that game. It might have been the Boston game where he got hurt, actually, in the first half. And Patrick Beverley had so many open looks from three, and he was getting so many shots that were just open, those looks. With Giannis down the floor, all of those open looks decrease just a little bit more for all of your other players because you don't have 3 or 4 guys paying attention to 34 streaming down the paint. So Patrick Beverley, again, defensively, I know exactly what he's going to do. I think the question is offensively, now that he's going to have less room to operate, can he really be super effective as your running court, your backcourt mate with Damian Lillard, without that extra space involved? I don't know what it's going to look like offensively. I know that he will give the passion, the energy, and the defense and do everything he can for this basketball team, those intangibles that you like to see. So, again, I like Patrick Beverley. He is a little bit limited in all things he can do offensively. But, yeah, I think he could definitely be a difference maker and a needle mover in any kind of series.
Damian Lillard in games without Giannis this year, 29.9 points per game, 7.5 assists, a steal plus a night, 45% from the floor, 39% from three. But the team is 500 when they've played without the Greek Freak in 2023-24. Trey, final thing for me here. Do you expect anything else, any other upsets potentially in this first round? These play-in games got a lot of star power in them. Obviously, we know Miami and Philly tomorrow night will be a lot of fun in the 7-8 game. But tonight, league's got to love LeBron being in the early game. And then Steph Curry going to Sacramento. Talk about a rivalry for a winner-go-home game. You see any other potential upsets in the first round, or you think it's going to be chalk into the second?
It depends, what you consider an upset. I mean, I think Dallas is going to beat the Clippers, under the tutelage of Jason Kidd. They've had a really good year. And then, I think there's definitely going to be a question about what happens. The Phoenix Suns, if Bradley Beal's playing really well, we know how good Minnesota has been all year. Could definitely see an upset there. And then, of course, you're always looking at what's going to happen at that, New York 1-2 seed, which, that was a big point of contention at the end of the regular season where, they went to overtime to beat the Bulls. Probably would have had an easier time beating the Pacers and just holding off and not taking that 2 seed. But they accepted the challenge, and they're going to get the winner, Philadelphia and Miami. If Philadelphia wins that matchup, and again, both of those teams should be playing very hard to avoid Boston. That should be the best playing game by far. To me, is that 76ers Miami game. Because, I mean, I don't think either one of these goes to beat Boston round one. I mean, but I don't know. That would be such a tough matchup, though, even for,
That'd be awesome.
Again, depends on the health of Joel Embiid. But that would be a tough draw for Philadelphia. For Boston. If you got a Philadelphia round one, I'm never as quite as excited as everybody else is about playoff Jimmy. So we'll see what happens with him. But Philly and New York, I think the size of Joel Embiid against that New York team could really frustrate them, especially if you have Max, if he kind of can play somewhat close to Brunson's level. New York could easily be on upset alert.
I agree. I totally agree.
I love that matchup.
That's
going to be fun.
There's a lot of pessimism right now about this playoffs, but you never know. It could turn out great for us and bad for the Celtics, John. Yeah.
Trey, do the Lakers dare duck the Nuggets and kind of just throw one here tonight with a win and get in coming up later in the week?
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can at all. It's too risky. Basketball guys don't like it. Probably one of the reasons why I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland lost to Orlando, because they 100% ducked and lost to Charlotte on purpose to get that 4th seed. They knew exactly what they were doing. But yeah, no, you can't cut it this close in the play-in, because again, what is that likely going to get you? Now, maybe, I don't know, the Sacramento wins, but a date with Steph Curry to potentially be out of the playoffs. And, boom, here you go with OKC. And OKC's a really good team, too. So, no, you have to go out and try to win that basketball game. No doubt about it.
I'm glad you're with me on that Orlando one. I got Magic in 6 ticket.
He
which
hates,
I'm very,
but
very
he
a
hates
fan of.
Donovan Mitchell. Trey
Yeah.
does not like Donovan Mitchell at all.
Yeah, I'm right there with him. And Paolo Banchero, my man, putting up numbers like LeBron did in his second year. I mean, you want to start talking about somebody that's destined for greatness. That kid is right there with it. I lied. I got one last one. Trey, what kind of crowds are you expecting at Fiserv Forum for this round one? I mean, tickets on the secondary market are dirt cheap. Thanasis is asking.
Thanasis is out there
saying, come on, guys, we need this place hostile. What kind of crowds are you expecting at Fiserv?
For the record, I don't hate Donovan Mitchell. I still think he's number one.
John, you watch it.
That's what they do. That's what they do to you, Trey. Liars.
What kind of crowd do I expect? Because tickets are cheaper, maybe I do expect a hot crowd that should be out there cheering on that team. But now I will say they are going to have, and that's why I mentioned about Thanasis. We got upset because I had a tweet about Thanasis' comments about the crowd. But they are going to have to get that crowd to do that.
Yeah.
If Bobby Portis puts up 25, you don't think that crowd's gonna be screaming Bobby at the top of their lungs?
Oh yeah.
The Bucks are now. I don't know if Vegas has changed the odds yet. The Bucks are probably going to be underdogs round one. I would not be surprised if this flips. I know they were 2 or 3 point favorites to start the series for game one. They probably are going to be underdogs. You could get the momentum that this team now, I don't want to say feel sorry for them because Giannis is going to be there, but this crowd should be behind these guys. But again, you're going to have to do the little things. So that's where the Bobby Portis, those extra plays. Remember that play in Orlando where I think it was Jonathan Isaac had the rebound. Bobby Portis tipped it. Chris Middleton stayed in the backcourt, didn't go back down the floor, grabbed a rebound, grabbed a loose ball, passed to Bobby. Bobby laid it up. I mean, you're going to have those types of moments that have to happen in Fiserv. Bobby's got to play well. He's got to shoot well. He's got to flex. You need Damian Lillard hitting logo threes.
Right, I agree.
So if you have all of those things happen, yeah, you're going to get the crowd organically is going to come behind you because again, people don't like Indiana. I mean, there's some bad blood in this series. So I think, and again, I hate it sometimes. I think Bobby's got to be under control and know what he's doing and be smart. But this is a series where the Bucks are going to have to, in my opinion, they're going to be the ones that have to muck this thing up.
Totally.
They're going to have to be the ones that are the aggressors, very physical. You might need to give Halliburton, and I don't condone violence, but you might have to give Halliburton an extra shove and let him know, hey, you're in five
technical
right now.
Get some technicals.
And motion to the crowd. You might have to do those little things that are a little borderline to get this thing going for you in your direction. I don't know. You need all
the Doc getting kicked out.
That might happen. Let's get Joe Prunty at the top of the bench again one time here in this playoffs.
You can't tell me if you tell Pat you're face guarding him all game and appeal to his pride that Pat will not take it upon himself.
Oh, Mr. 94 feet is going to get into something.
To do that, that's my point. And you're right there.
And we're going to hear about it on the podcast.
The Bucks are 1 point underdogs in game one at Potawatomi Sportsbook. And you're right, Trey. I think the fact that these are a little bit cheaper tickets, you might sneakily have a more boisterous crowd than that wine, cheese, and lobster crowd that we get at Fiserv all the time. Because we do get that. We have not gotten those types of crowds at Fiserv because the Bucks have been so good.
I've been at 4 games this year.
You're doing your job. You're doing your job. I'm just saying.
I've found some really reasonable tickets this year.
Right. And they've been more reasonable in different spots on the secondary market, I think, than ever before.
Row 11 the other night was only $100. It was fantastic. Yep. I think that's reasonable. That's not wine, cheese, and lobster. Right?
I'm just making a point. It's not like it used to be to me at the Bradley Center when that place would shake, and that's okay. That's what winning does. It brings extra energy, extra money into the crowd.
Well,
but we might need that underdog mentality from the crowd first.
That's what I'm talking about.
To give that energy to the team first. I know what you're saying, Trey. The team's got to do it.
Then get a ticket, Armin. Then get a damn ticket.
Well,
thank you.
Tell him, Trey. Tell him, Trey.
I'm not going to be here game one, but I can try to be later on in the series.
He ain't going. Trey, we appreciate it, man. I apologize for him wasting more of your time.
I like it. No, I appreciate you guys. And man, what a twist last week on Survivor, John. Woo.
Wasn't it?
Yes.
Wasn't it? And what's going on tomorrow night? What could possibly go on? They said the craziest
what?
Ever. They said the craziest ever.
The promo was my man Hunter sitting in a tree hiding from people.
What is going to go on at elimination? I don't know. I do not know. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. I love it. And they're doing a good job. New era Survivor. So again, I don't know. I may have some more time to watch it. The Bucks are out of the playoffs, so we'll see how this thing goes.
Let's not wish that. Let's not wish that.
I completely
Come
forgot
on.
Trey was on Survivor again, man. That was something I was supposed to carry on from last week. We got to keep it
He
going in
jumped
the
right
future,
on it.
Trey. We got to do this some more. Or maybe I come on your show and we do more Survivor.
I love it. Invite's always open.
That sounds good, man. We appreciate it, Trey. We'll be listening coming up on Sunday night, and we're always listening on Saturdays too. On your T's and Q's. Thanks, man.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Trey Crosby on your T's and Q's. I want to know who from Survivor might end up on You Are Trash.
I want to know if John and Trey are going to start a Survivor podcast.
Listen,
That would be awesome.
There was a big blindside last week, and to get to the merge, they split the groups, and they had two different people get voted off in two different separate groups that nobody knew what was going on, and the Nami tribe completely cut one of their own. It was a blindside, big time blindside.
I would love to see you on
Damn.
that show, John. I think you could do it.
Well, they dissed me like 4 times. I'm
Keep
kinda done
trying.
with them.
Don't give up.
Kind of dumb.
How tough would it be for me to watch tomorrow night and know any bit of what's going on?
You would love it. It would be fun. You'd
Okay, I'm
say
dialed in.
every single one of these people are psycho.
Okay, I'm in. That's my kind of show. That's my kind of show. This is my kind of show. It's 9 to noon. Kuhn, Billy, and Armin with you on the game.
John Kuhn here for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. If you've been thinking about doing something new with your home, maybe taking your ordinary space and trying to do something extraordinary with it, well, the time is now with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. They have a luxurious look, a sleek design, and custom colors available that's guaranteed to give your home the extra pop to entertain your friends and keep you comfortable. It's really the best of both worlds when you think about it, because at Pella, we think of windows differently. We have the highest rated energy efficient products and a complete range of durable, functional, and high-end quality products that will bring the best out of your home. Plus, right now, getting the perfect windows and doors have never been easier. Get 0% interest for up to 36 months, or no down payment, no interest, and no payment for 18 months if you book by April 30th. That's right. I said it right here. You got choices: 0% interest for up to 3 years, or no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 18 months. Who doesn't like no payments at all for 18 months? Sounds really good there. If you book by the end of the month, Pella is rated #1 by Milwaukee homeowners as the window brand that stands behind their products. So take ownership of your living space once again and make it a place worth living in with Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. So visit PellaWI.com and tell Gina Della that John Kuhn sent you. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details.
I like this one for our show song for the Mike Heller Show poll question.
Yeah, we have to decide something, John. We got to decide a walk-up song.
Because apparently the Mike Heller Show poll question, this is 9 to noon. 9 to noon.
This is the show now.
Is where we broadcast from, which is also where you can follow us on Twitter, 2 noon. He's Coon J30. I'm Bill Schmidt Radio. Zad Armansari, and you know the name. You know the handle. It's traditional Armenian spelling. But the Mike Heller Show generally does their staff poll question on Wednesdays. Heller gave us some homework, said that we need to come up with a team show walk-up song. And I don't know about you guys, but this is the first time I've thought about it. So and we got to have it I think he said by the end of the day today.
Yeah, I can give it tomorrow morning to
Oh, okay.
I'll give it
Look at this guy throwing his weight around in this place. It's about damn time you do.
If Nick,
MVP.
If Nick can't pull one song in the morning, then it is a bigger problem. What
if he has to pull 3? What if all the shows do the same
John,
thing that we're doing?
You should
they all throw it to him.
You should be able to pull 3 songs.
I think you should be able to.
Probably should be.
We should come up with one.
You should be able to pull 3 songs before noon.
We should come up with one though, and I like this one. Mano and T-Pain. This is a good walk-up song.
All the Above is a solid one.
Listen, yes, this is fine, but can you picture yourself, Billy, walking up to the plate with this?
Yeah, I could see the the Above, but
I do like it. There's other ones
There's other ones I like, maybe potentially a little bit more. We got Trophies by Drake in that spot. Now we also do have a Drake song that leads us in each and every morning. Now I wonder if that's where Heller would like us to go, because Going Bad by Meek Mill and Drake, which is the instrumental to The Open, is not bad. I mean, it slaps, no doubt about it. But I feel like we need something that's really announcing the arrival,
unique,
as we walk on up.
More than just the show open, isn't that a little obvious? You know what I mean? Now this is good though,
right?
What do you think about this, John? We need to agree on it. That's the tough part.
That's exactly it. Yes.
Yeah, again, still walk-up song. I love this. I play this in the car and vibe out, but walk-up. It's the walk-up song. If you really are going to take the time to do this on air, we got to think about this. We got to think about it.
I'm just thinking out loud,
Well, we got time. I mean, we still got an hour and a half.
Yeah, let's think about this. What are the Nooners think?
Let's take some
when 9 to noon walks up to the plate, what song do you hear? I mean, I still can't help but think that I hear Till I Collapse.
I like that one.
Just the instrumental part of Till I Collapse.
Hear a little bit of that.
Just the instrumental part of Till I Collapse, even.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll pull that up. But this is good. And when you submit things, Nooners, think of us as a unit. Right, this is a group. Don't think of Armin and put
don't think of
Vanessa Carlton. All right, something like that.
Which might even be funnier, because the more memorable walk-up songs, like Gerardo Parra is a part of a team that's going to the World Series when he was with the maybe not Nationals. Was it with the Nationals?
I thought it was, actually.
Remember when he was playing Baby Shark and the whole place would go absolutely nuts?
Sure.
So I mean, there is something to be said about having something that's catchy enough, like Frank Catalanato, who hasn't played for the Brewers in 13 years.
Right.
But I still remember his walk-up song was The Outfield.
Right.
Want to lose your love tonight?
Right.
Come on now. So what is this one?
This is Till I Collapse by Eminem. This does get you fired up. We have to start it.
Next batter. The midday. 9 to noon.
I think we have to start it later.
They would have to be started later. Yeah.
If I told, maybe this is where it's tough for Nick. If I told him, hey, I need seconds 35 to 45.
Maybe then he would need some help. Maybe then he would need some time to be able to pull that one.
This is a good one, though. I like this one.
JC and Cudahy, who is apparently Red Hot Tim Scott, said Hell's Bells by AC/DC.
It's Trevor.
You can't use a Hall of Famer song.
That's not the show.
You can't use a Hall of Famer song.
Great song. Fine song.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the show. It's not a show.
This does fire me up.
I don't know. I think you can go just straight instrumental. If we walk up really slow.
Yeah, that's a real slow walk.
We're not racing to the plate on that.
That's a real slow walk up.
Be a slow walk.
Said maybe the sound of silence. I mean, now that would be scary.
Is that a song or it just means literally silence?
Shot it up.
I think he just means actual silence. We'll just walk on up to the plate, smack that bat in the middle of home plate, point, call our shot, knock a home run on it.
Interesting. Simon and Garfunkel song.
He could mean that one. Yeah, see, I feel like I'm sitting in a basement and there's some potential like wafting going on during this. That doesn't feel to me like I'm about to step on up to the plate. But we got a lot of time. Scott and Aaron. Bang on the drum by Todd Rundgren. We're not the Green Bay Packers. We are the home for the Green Bay Packers. But I just don't know that one's necessarily firing everybody up, getting us to the plate.
I mean,
I
God, this fits in Wisconsin. So
I
great. I
love
mean,
it.
if we're going to the plate for the Brewers,
Is this?
but I feel like this makes you sprint to the plate, run around the catcher and the umpire three times, and then get in the left-hander's box and then say, "Psych, I'm going to the right side."
It's just attached to Packers to me, so I can't. It's great, and we have a Packer here, but I can't think of it as like our show walk-up song. Can't think about what fits us as a. I don't know.
I mean,
Anthony in Saukville did say "Bringing Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake.
Now we're
that
talking.
would feel more
Now
like
we're
our
talking.
show.
Now
that
we're
would feel
talking.
more like what our show is doing here.
Now
on number 2.
Now I think we're talking a little bit. Yeah. I mean,
What?
we're all
That
good
one doesn't
looking.
work either.
We're all good looking on this show.
You better believe
You
that.
know?
Come on now.
Oh,
Interesting. We
wow.
got some taste. We got some ideas. We got some people saying, "How about Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, Mike and Grafton? That's if you're really trying to piss off the Drew and KB show. We could use that. We could use
That'd be funny if we just trolled their show with their least favorite songs.
we got to throw
One
Journey
Shining
in there.
Moment, Journey.
Don't Stop Believing by Journey would have to be one that if we're just trying to aggravate them. 414-799-1973. You can put some suggestions in on the talking text line, and we'll be back right after this. Caitlin Clark goes number 1 in the NBA draft. It wasn't the reason why people were talking about her last night. It's 9 to noon on the Game. All right, here we go. This is submission for the 9 to noon walk of song, part of the Mike Eller poll question coming up tomorrow. What is this one?
It's called Annie Up by MOP.
Annie Up.
Yeah.
That's a little gambling. All right.
Yeah, that could actually work. It was what I used to last in the 85 Ford Wrestling for a solid 2 years.
When did it come out? 2000, John, I think about maybe 99.
Oh, right around there.
Yeah.
Right around the prime of hip hop music.
No, I'm with you on that. You know how I feel about it. I would say, what about Rough Riders Anthem?
Let me hear it.
Is that too hard for us though? Like DMX?
So you're not thinking we're hard enough to show off with
You guys
Yeah.
are.
cool song?
You guys
If,
are not hard.
if we sit here and pretend for 1 second, we didn't
Right, like you know how I am, but when I hear this, I feel like
all of this music was before Billy got into actual music.
Oh yeah, I was in pre-K. If that song was coming out in 98, 99. Oh,
that's how I like.
I mean, this was when I was in
okay,
high
I
school.
like that.
This was when I was in high school.
That'd be an interesting one. A lot of possibilities here.
Zeroing in on something here, guys. At least just put it that way. We're getting through this in this.
I like Surf Flag, my little Wayne that somebody brought on up here. Also, there's another couple of interesting ones that you can go Outcast, So Fresh, So Clean. But then we would have Showers today.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know that.
more about the house, you know.
Oh,
okay. Because, you know, it's fresh and clean. You know, I don't think it's a little high.
I mean, could be. Brian, the Three Stooges theme song. Brian really threw a laughing emoji there, so I had to make sure that you knew that we were laughing with him. That was a remarkable joke coming in by Brian. Yeah, there you go, Brian. There you go, Brian. Congratulations, Brian. No Sleep Till Brooklyn a possibility in here. Beastie Boys would be an opportunity. There's some thoughts. I'm also interested to see what the other guys throw on in here. I could very much believe Drew and KB Happy Birthday to Marilyn Monroe. Like, I mean, they could throw in one of the strangest songs possible as they're walking because this would be the title, but this would also take Drew and KB put effort into it, which is probably not going to happen.
Well, apparently Mike said that they came up right away with their submission.
Really?
Which means KB texted back with his submission. Because I don't think Drew, he's been out, you know, he had the
Drew's rehabbing.
So I don't know. I think they know each other well enough to know what song they would pick together, which I understand. Some sort of
they just said, Hunter, send him a song.
Send him something.
Pick something and send it on in. 414-799-1973. Fellas, the picture yesterday that was going around social media throughout the night. Caitlin Clark, number 1 pick in the WNBA draft. She's headed to the W. And instantly, I guess I didn't realize this, and it very well could happen maybe on draft night when Caleb Williams goes number 1 to the Chicago Bears. When did it start that we just start posting people's yearly breakdown of their contract 20 minutes after they get selected with the number 1 overall pick?
Well, all we did was talk about how much money she was going to make in the Ice Cube League and in the Big Three, how much, you know, she was making in NIL. Maybe there was a reason why Paige Beckers decided to stay at UConn, right? She would have been a high draft pick as well to leapfrog and get into the WNBA. And, you know, I know she wants to win a championship there as on the court at UConn, but hey, there's something to this. And that is not a lot of money. That is not a lot of money for Caitlin Clark, the face of what was college basketball coming out and going into the WNBA right now. And, you know, you got to wonder when are those standards going to change?
Yeah, now obviously she'll make a lot more from her endorsements and stuff like that, but I think that's kind of the idea, and that's maybe why it's a storyline, because when people really see how much she makes in comparison to other professional athletes, I think that's the point. Is we're waiting to see if Caitlin Clark will raise that bar. Will she have the effect that a Tiger Woods had on her sport, or someone like that, where the popularity, the business changes enough? Remember, I mean, what Major League Baseball players were making in the 70s and what NBA players were making in the 80s, relatively, I'm talking about relatively speaking, wasn't as high until those superstars came and changed the business model. So we'll wait and see. I mean, I think a good measure of her success and impact is if in 5-10 years that number triples or quadruples. And if it does, you can say, wow, Caitlin really made that impact on the sport that we thought she might.
Spotrac had a very interesting post just a couple of minutes ago that it's a big 2 years for the WNBA. They just inherited the most recognizable draft class in league history, arguably. Again, this is from Spotrac on social media. In negotiations to increase their current TV streaming deal from what sits at $60 million to $100 million, as well as the league expected to expand from 12 to 16 teams. Players are able to opt out of the current CBA after 2025. So it's the best time for them to be welcoming in a person that has the stardom, kind of like Caitlin Clark. Also, cool to watch some of the Indiana Fever players last night. Did you see this video of them once the pick was official? They had Indiana Fever jerseys waiting, threw them on at a celebration in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, big pep rally, fired up to welcome her onto the squad. Interesting after, the words that we've heard from other WNBA players or Caitlin Clark thanking all those great WNBA players that came before her. Not named Sue Bird or Diana Taurasi while she was on SNL. Anyone else catch that?
I caught that. That was funny.
That was well done. Mm-hmm. Very, very well done. Hour number 3 is always the best one yet. Well done is not how we're going to order the steak coming up at Carnivore tonight for our You Better You Bet dinner. Hour 3 is going to be fantastic. It's always the best one yet, and it comes at you next. Coon, Billy, and Armin on the game. All right. I love this song. It's 9 to noon on the game. It's hour number 3. None of
songs-
us are going to get ourselves out of this situation that they're talking about in Regulate.
Oh, it doesn't represent us. Yeah.
I don't believe any of us could get ourselves out of this situation. So that's why this is a great tune. I don't know that it's very representative of
It's
us.
a good point.
Well, I mean, hold on, just pump the brakes. Let's not just project here, okay? And if they're speaking of one scenario, I mean, I'm sure there's some scenarios we could get out of that maybe they couldn't. But what if we had a flat tire? Can you change a tire? I can change a tire. Do you think Warren G and Nate Dogg can change a tire?
Probably.
Yeah, but that's not what they're talking about
That's
here.
not what they're talking about in here.
No, I know that's not what they're talking about. But he said about getting out of predicaments, and I'm just trying to say
all right, good
I
point.
can imagine there's a few predicaments out there that I
Well-
can get out of that they can't.
Okay, fair. A few of them. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Probably. Yeah.
I think that's the main question. It should be a song that
Can you change the
we
oil?
like.
No. You know what I can do? I can drive to Scrub-a-Dub and have them do it.
This is how I
Oil
know
change.
that,
I can't do it.
that
Oil change.
half to 66% of a generation gap between us and Billy is really something, right? It used to be dads would take sons and say, all right, you turned 16.
Mm-hmm.
You got your license now.
Yeah.
The first thing you're learning is how to change a tire because
Yeah.
there weren't cell phones and you're not going to be stuck on the side of the road. Or you're not going to walk to get a cell phone and then try and give me directions without me being able to look it up on it. You're going to have to change your own tire because you're going to get a flat. And mostly because tires back then, they didn't have ride flat tires. When they got a nail on them, they went straight.
Sure.
Sure.
You had to learn how to put the spare on. We had to learn
so-
that in like driver's ed. I think.
Yeah, so that's one of the first things your dad taught you. Second thing, change your oil. We're not going to that auto shop every time you need to change your oil. You need to learn how to do it here. Go get a pan, get the jack.
Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah,
I
never.
But you're right, John. Some people.
I've also been
other
driving
than-
13 years, never got a flat tire. So I'll knock on wood right there and
How
say
is
that I'll call
possible?
AAA.
I feel like I've had 13 flat tires since you started driving.
Yeah, fascinating.
You
I've
need better
never
tires.
had one.
Just
They
kidding.
have a nail in them every time, Armin.
I've had 3 flats. And I've called AAA each time.
Yeah,
That
Dante,
bad?
it's way too
I
easy.
don't think Dante can. Well, I
See,
pay.
when you say
I pay for
AAA
it.
now when we say AAA, all I think of is
Oh,
Dante.
I know. I
think
agree.
you're given the shortened version of AAA Dante.
To be honest with you, whatever roadside it was. The thing is, it is easy, Billy. I also feel like I pay for it. Why am I paying for it if I'm not using
Yeah.
it? Right. If this is the reason I pay the money,
Might as well do it. Might as well
Right.
use it. Get it on over here. I also, though, the part of changing a tire that I was never handy. My dad would have loved to be able to bestow upon me all of the handy things and skills that my grandfather taught to him. Airplane mechanic during World War II.
Wow.
Found all different ways to fix anything that moved. I'm going to call somebody. My grandpa would be as
Yeah, but
upset
you-
as possible as he could
But
be.
you had cell phones. It's only because you had if you didn't have a cell phone, you'd have to know this. So you would have been taught this. And
I'm
don't
not
worry,
talking
if
about
you-
it. Okay.
If you can kick slide, you can change a tire. You would have been able to figure that out.
Well, some people are more adept skill wise. Like I'm not a handy guy either.
Not at all. No.
But I think there is a point to where if we felt like we had to, maybe we would be able to be better learning it. I get your point, but I don't know. It was never one of my skills. You know, if you told me right now, Armin, go build a shelf, I can't do it.
no.
You know,
No.
What's the most technical thing that something happens? What's it? Change a light bulb. You can do that. So like let's get to
Sure,
where
okay.
your
All right, I can
let's
do
get
that.
to where your Mendoza line is of things you're fixing versus not fixing.
Change the furnace filter.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can do that.
You guys
Pull
got
it
that
in.
down.
Put it out. Yeah. Change a light bulb. Unclog a toilet. Have to do that probably 2 or 3 times a week.
That's pretty good skill, actually.
Yep.
I mean,
I can do that.
That's useful around here. In this place.
More than you would think it would be more useful around here.
What are the other levels, John, of like
That's about
handiness?
it. Like yesterday,
What if
so
you're-
one
what
of my
if you're-
best friends in the world sent our young son, Carson, a toy that is for ages 3 to 6. Weight bench. You know what I can do? I can screw in following directions, put together said weight bench. And then I was like, okay, sweet. That was about as much work as I'm going to do for the next probably 2 or 3 days. Like that's about as handy as your boy gets. Follow some directions.
What if a part breaks on the dishwasher?
No chance.
I could try to Google.
I wouldn't even know if
Google
it was broken unless I could listen to it and say, yeah, that doesn't sound like it
What if
usually
it's
does.
something easy like one of the wheels on the part where that you pull out?
I can
that
fix
slides
that.
out? What if one
I
of the
fix that.
wheels pops off?
I put a wheel back on because they snap in usually. you know who's good at that is Josh. Josh fixed his whole dishwasher once, or his dryer.
Damn.
Or no, it was maybe laundry or something. He was able to fix it on YouTube. That's the other thing. You can go on YouTube now and try at least to figure it out.
Yeah, try to do that. Like that was the way that I replaced the battery on my key fob cars. So I felt pretty handy when I did that one.
There you go.
Felt pretty cool when I did that
so
one.
if the power goes out, if you trip a breaker, you able to get that done?
So funny story about that. I know where
That's a no.
That's no, because I called my pops and I'm like, Dad, what am I doing wrong here?
Well,
Billy, you got to pull it first, then reset it. Oh, sweet. Okay.
But
awesome.
that, you were just asking for
I only learned that
confirmation.
4 times.
But what, didn't something happen in your basement? You fixed it that morning before the show?
No,
Something
what happened
happened.
was the main sewer drain got backed up, and I called somebody to come and help me. That's what that was the way of fixing that issue.
If you had if you had a hot water heater crap out on you, or you had a pipe leaking, would you be able to turn off the water in your house?
Probably. I guess I could look that up. I would have no idea what I'm doing right away. Like if you said, hey man, go turn that water off.
I think I've done that.
Is there a little nozzle like there is on the toilet?
Yeah, basically.
Can you change a light switch?
No chance.
Okay.
Maybe
tire changing is not for you, Billy. Maybe it's
that's again, like I know my limitations. I know what I'm good at and what I am not good at. Anything handy, I am not good at. Anything that requires any kind of physical labor outside of like raking, I can cut the lawn. Good at that.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Go get the mail, take the garbage out. I'm really good at that. Those are the chores like that Nick Saban's talking about that he has to do. So that man, as long as I do my chores,
and Miss Terry,
I can go play golf.
Miss Terry
says I have to take the garbage out every morning after I make breakfast, after we have our honey buns. So I go and take that off, and then I can go play golf. That's where I'm at. That's about it. Like I know what I'm really good at and what I'm not good at. What I am hopefully going to be good at, hanging out with our guy Wayne Larrivee as the game's NFL draft coverage presented by Buffalo Wild Wings kicks off next week on Thursday night, day 1 at Buffalo Wild Wings around the state. Everyone is going to be out enjoying night 1 of the draft. Drew and KB are going to be at Buffalo Wild Wings in West Dallas. Zabe and Butch are going to be in Appleton at the Buffalo Wild Wings. Nick Brusewitz, go see what Nick Brusewitz looks like. He's going to be with Mike Heller at the Madison location on campus, Buffalo Wild Wings. And our guy John Papadopoulos is going to be in La Crosse, actually in Onalaska at Buffalo Wild Wings. Voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee, and myself, alongside Doug Russell, the Love Muscle, will be inside Lambeau Field, our draft center at 1919 Kitchen and Tap. That's day 1. Day 2 and day 3, you can come and see Wayne and I at Rockin' Brews, Potawatomi Hotel Casino Sportsbook. Doug Russell will be still camped out at Lambeau Field with all the coverage. That starts at 5:30. Both nights, 1 and 2, start at 5:30. Day 3 will take you throughout the midday, 11:30 to 3. Wayne and I again at Rockin' Brews, taking you through pick by pick of the NFL draft. And also talking some Green Bay Packers, maybe discussing some OTAs and one guy that is there. One Jair Alexander showed on up. Fellas, we were talking about it yesterday. Rob Domofsky put it out, John, on his piece from last year's OTAs that it's going to be about 10 mil that was going to take for Jair Alexander to potentially be here for the entire offseason program. He's there for day 1 under Jeff Hafley's leadership of this defense. Very interesting decision by Jair Alexander yesterday.
I think just smart. Just start this year fresh, get a whole different vibe, a whole different feel. A lot of weird things happened last year. Didn't show up for the offseason program. Then didn't travel to a game, had some injuries, setbacks. The not traveling to the game was kind of weird in its progression because it came after he had traveled to other games. And then down in Carolina, self-appointed captainship, suspended for a game. So there were a lot of really weird moments for Jair, and it's a new year, a new team, and hey, maybe he wants that C patch back, maybe he wants that captain patch back, and he wants to be here to lead this new and improve Jeff Hafley defense. And hey, if they're going to get him up there and press man and get to chase these wide receivers around in their hip, that's what he's always wanted. So let's see it happen.
And love the picture of him walking with Xavier McKinney out to day 1. Evan Siegel with a very, very nice grab of that. It just seems to be a defense that is going to need some new pieces. We already know that they're going to supplement a lot of different spots on that defense. But when you think of the most important guy on that defense, yeah, Rashawn Gary is going to be top of mind. But Jair Alexander is going to have to be, especially like you mentioned, if they're going to press as much as they are, if they're going to play the kind of style that he wants, great time to show it. Great time to show up and show out. And Jair Alexander potentially putting himself in the first spot to be able to do that. I'm very excited for the draft coming up next week, guys. Like, I am eating up every one of these BS rumors that every single guy and every single team is throwing out there. Now the Cardinals want to use the 4th pick. Everybody's been saying they're going to trade it for the last 4 weeks. Now they're going to keep it. No, not buying any of it. It is BS season in the NFL. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love the lead up to the draft with every bit of rumor that you can grab about the teams in this division and across the NFL. It's fascinating.
And everybody reaching for these quarterbacks right now is a fascinating proposition to me as we roll into this, right? You got the Giants sitting there at about 6. Everybody's saying, should they take quarterback? Should they take a wide receiver? Daniel Jones he has not had the support around him. If you have watched Daniel Jones throughout his career so far, and you think it's just because the support he's had around, well, he's gone and beaten Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. Yeah, Saquon Barkley was a big part of that too, and Saquon Barkley's not there now. So let's stop trying to put. I mean, this is what and there are so many teams in that exact same spot. Some teams don't have a quarterback at all. Giants have Daniel Jones, and they're trying to wonder, should we stick with him or pick somebody else? People will reach on quarterbacks. There's going to be a lot of movement at the top of this draft for the quarterback position, Billy, I believe, especially as you talk about Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and J.J. McCarthy now getting his name thrown as a top 5 pick. Completely fascinating to me. And 1, if not 2 or 3 of those GMs that make those selections are going to be gone in about 2 years because it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I mean, you can also hit on the quarterback and you can get fired, right? Like, I mean, Tom Telesco drafted Justin Herbert and got fired midseason. So, it does generally buy you a golden ticket to an extension. Does not always mean that it works for the long part. I love the fact Schrager is Peter Schrager, Good Morning Football, NFL.com. He throws out like 1 to 2 mock drafts, and he does not look at film. He does not talk to different scouts, does not break down guys 40 times. All he does is compile information and see, yeah, that seems like a logical fit. That seems like something that they might be trying to do. He had Bo Nix falling all the way at 23 for the Minnesota Vikings. If they don't have to go up and grab a quarterback and they get to use both of those picks, it's a huge draft for the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, it's a massive draft for the Chicago Bears. They get the number 1 and number 9 overall picks. Schrager had them moving back, picking up more picks. Like, it's going to be a whirlwind. There's going to be a lot of movement. And we had one individual on the Talking Text line ask if there's a player in the top 10 that the Packers could go and trade up for. I don't know the exact player that they'd be eyeing, but I could absolutely see Brian Gutekunst going up. I don't know that he goes all the way up to the top 10, but I could see him going up to 21, 19, 17, somewhere in that vicinity, late teens.
I could see him move into the teens if there's a player that is really high on his big board. Let's say there's a player in his top 10 big board, and that play and everybody's getting, and that player fits a need, whether it's the safety opposite Xavier McKinney, whether it's another inside linebacker, whether it's an edge rusher, right? Maybe it's an offensive lineman. If that player fits that need and he's really high on his board, and they just keep, picking players underneath them, I could see him move up into the teens. I don't see much higher than that out of Goody.
You'd have to give up a lot if you're going up any further than that. Yeah.
And that's part of the, give and take of having a good season last year, finishing strong, going deeper in the playoffs. You get that deeper draft pick, and it makes it more difficult to move up.
I cannot wait. I'm so fired up to be bringing you guys the draft coverage coming up on Thursday night. Next Thursday, me and Wayne Larrivee, voice of the Green Bay Packers, going to be at 1919. So come and hang out with us. If not, across the state, Buffalo Wild Wings, your home. Let's go, Sports Bar. Your home for some coverage of night 1 of the NFL draft, and proud sponsor of the game's draft night coverage. We're going to be at Rock and Brews coming up Friday and Saturday. And that is inside of Potawatomi Hotel Casino Sportsbook, where we walk up to right now.
Talking about Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook, I'll be there tonight. I'll be cashing my 3-leg parlay that we did there in the second day of the first weekend of March Madness.
I remember that.
The one that absolutely smashed, the big one. 1,000 plus 1,010, I think it was.
That's what it was.
The odds that we had.
Yeah.
We had odds of plus 200 yesterday. Unfortunately, that parlay was not as good. More on that in a moment. But let me tell you about Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook as we are rapidly approaching cutting the ribbon, rushing into the sportsbook just in time for the Kentucky Derby. And I believe there's UFC fighting that weekend. If you're interested in UFC, if you're interested,
they had UFC 300 going on the big screen this weekend. Was that a card?
If you are interested in that, make your way down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. You don't have to pay a cover charge. You get to come in and watch UFC on the biggest of big screens and have plenty of room for you and whoever wants to come with you, because it's seating for over 200, it's space for over 400, and it's an open concept. So you can easily walk in and out in between fights, or maybe over to the poker room that they have to the side. It is going to be the biggest sports book outside of Vegas. And that's not me embellishing. That is the actual cold hard truth. Biggest sports book outside of Vegas, and it's opening May 3rd. So make sure you make your way down to Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. Now for my pick yesterday, Brewers plus 1.5 and over 8.5 total runs scored in the game. Well, over 8.5 definitely hit. However, the problem was the Brewers, who had a 3-0 lead, weren't able to keep that lead, and we lost one leg, which means we lose the whole thing, because that's the way that parlays work. But we're going to do something even simpler than that here tonight. We're going to go to the play-in tournament, which, hey, for all when this thing got started, we all dogged this thing. We said, this is stupid. This is dumb. And for all the reasons. I did. And I did too. And I'll raise my hand and I'll say it was dumb. But when you got LeBron James playing in this thing nearly every year, and you got Steph Curry playing in this thing for a couple years, and then on the East side, you got the 76ers with Joel Embiid and Maxey going against Jimmy Butler. I mean, these playing games are a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one here tonight. The Lakers, I agree with Trey. I think the Lakers go down to New Orleans and they beat down the Pelicans, and they're catching one, but it doesn't really matter. So we'll take the money line. Just increase your odds just a skosh there on that one. Why have +1 when you could take even money? They don't really tie in basketball. Shocker. Newsflash. They don't tie in basketball.
The only difference is you get the push on the 1-point win. Yeah. So
we don't need that, because the Lakers are winning. Yeah. We're going to go Lakers money line here tonight at -104. We're going to take Lakers money line because I think they go down to New Orleans. I think they take care of business. And I think the Lakers find themselves playing the Nuggets. Why? Because you want to take on the Nuggets here. And when you're an older team like the Lakers, get the Nuggets, get that brutally hard series out of the way, because other series are going to be brutally tough for you as well. So you might as well get that one out of the way. And, you can avoid the number 1 seed too by advancing that way. I think they want to play the Nuggets in the first round. I think the Lakers are going to get this thing done here tonight down in New Orleans. I'm taking the Lakers money line.
I saw that there was a lot of money on the Lakers.
Huge action on the Lakers.
Yeah. So
about 85% of the money on the Lakers.
A lot of people just expect them to roll in this game. It'll be interesting to watch. I think it'll be fun, but I guess it's hard to pick against them unless you're worried about the AD thing, the back. I don't know what the situation is.
Fascinating situation with AD. He plays more games, I think, this year than he has in any season of his career. Final game of the regular season goes down with back spasms.
Yeah, so we'll see. And you mentioned UFC or MMA. UFC.
UFC is MMA.
It's the same thing. I'm not a big UFC guy.
Not all MMA is UFC,
that's
but
right.
all UFC is MMA.
Now UFC, I'm not a big MMA UFC guy, but
they're the same.
My guy Arman Tsarukyan had a big win the other night over Oliveira, the Armenian.
That's your guy, huh?
Yeah, Arman Tsarukyan.
Arman beat the Armenian?
Oliveira?
Yeah.
No, Arman is the Armenian. He won. So watch out. This guy's a dog, apparently. All my brothers-in-law are excited about it.
Took out a former UFC champion in Charles Oliveira.
They were all excited, and he's going to fight in the title match, I think, coming up against Islam. So I think that's going to be a big one. The guy's name.
He's fighting all of Islam.
No, that's what I said. Is that what it is? No, the guy's name is it's Islam, right? Islam something.
What championship is it? What bracket?
You never heard of this guy? Arman Tsarukyan. I thought you know about this stuff, Billy. I thought you were you don't know about this guy? Arman Tsarukyan here?
Yeah.
No. All right.
I mean,
I do know who that is. He was a heavy favorite over Oliveira.
-200. Yeah.
One on a billion.
My point is, I got a guy to cheer for now. So
Let's go.
I'm into
Yes.
it. All right. And
is he fighting at the Chandler Conor McGregor pay-per-view?
The guys, I don't know exactly. It's a Russian named Islam Makhachev. He's competing against, fighting. So
he might play. Might
It's
play
actually-
around.
You
with
got to
them.
play around a little bit. I mean, if it's a title fight, it's five rounds. You're not just
Lightweight.
going to go scrapping hardcore for 5 rounds. You got to play around a little bit. You got to ease into it.
Armin, how would
Lightweight
you
division.
do if we stuck you
Terrible.
in a
I
ring
do terrible.
against somebody
Not a-
equally as non-combative as you?
Oh, so we talked it out? We'd get in the ring and talk it out?
No,
Is that
I'm
what
just
it
wondering
is?
Pacifist would get in there.
we stuck you in with like your alter universe Armin, the other Armin that's walking this earth, almost identical to you, but just as different. If we stuck the two of you in a ring, would you be able to get the job done? What if we stuck you in the ring with Hunter?
I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Hunter would whoop your candy ass.
I'm not saying you have to punch. You could wrestle. You could
maybe
pin that
wrestling.
way.
Maybe
You could
wrestling.
pin that
a
way.
clean sport or something clean like that. I'm not trying to kick
I'm
out
not
someone's
putting you.
teeth.
Yeah, I'm not putting you in the ring with somebody that's combative. I'm putting you in the ring with somebody equally as combative as you. And Hunter kind of fits that bill.
Yeah, I'm
I
taking
can't do
Hunter.
it. I can't. I think we'll shake hands and call it a draw. It's hard.
You'd get
it's
booed out of the ring.
Fine. It's not good. It's not my sport. All right. You're right. I would. It wouldn't be for me. Don't buy tickets to my match,
All
everybody.
right, The
You're
loser,
snoozing.
the loser has to send Instagram pictures of their significant other to other men. Oh, that already happens.
Yeah, Armin's a big fan of that one.
Snapchats. That's
Billy,
much
quick-
different than Instagram.
Billy, a couple quick fixes for you on the way out. Yes or no? Can you repair a hole in the wall?
I think we had to a couple of them in
Patch it up.
college, but I was not the one doing it. No, I
So
was
that's a
I
no.
was supervising.
That's drywall, right? Basically.
What about what if you needed to relight your pilot light on your hot water heater?
Would have no idea where it was.
Okay. What about
Yeah.
a leaky faucet? Could you get that to stop leaking?
Would I just have to turn it? I mean, like, yeah, that's about as close as I'm getting. I'm
Okay.
gonna have to know exactly what the situation is. Somebody tells me what to do. I'm very coachable. Very coachable.
Sure. If you tell me how, go online.
100%.
Andy and Brookfield gave us some websites. You can go on YouTube. I mean, maybe I could do it if I did it that way.
Again, I got coached pretty good until I was about 10 or 11 years old. Then my dad said, "You know what you're going to be able to do? You're going to be
Jigsaw.
really good at going and grabbing us a Miller High Life." Right?
There
We're
we
going to
go.
need one here in about 2 minutes. So just keep the crew lubricated, and then that was basically my job, or carrying things back and forth. That was what I was really good at.
Yes, it's called a gopher, and every
Yeah.
good work crew has a gopher. So yeah, you're handy.
Nah, that's very nice of you to say. Very nice.
I love that we're
414-799-1973.
We're
Trying, but listen, you know what your strengths and weaknesses are. This is what draft season is. You got to emphasize, lean in on your strengths, and try to avoid your weaknesses. I try to keep myself out of those types of the issues. 414-799-1973. Brewers had some issues yesterday, especially with Joe Ross giving up 6 in an inning. We'll talk a little crew, as well as one part of the PGA Tour that said that he was going to be steadfast against the move. Could the last soldier finally cave to the PIF and go live his golf life? It's 9 to noon on the Game. Okay.
How about
9 to
this?
noon on the game. What am I hearing here, Armin? This could be a walk-up song.
I picked this as a banger once. It's called "I'm Gonna Get You" by Bizarre Inc.
Very much sounds,
Bizarre
John, like an
Incorporated.
Armin Sarian banger. Like, I mean, you
Big
there
90s
are
banger.
wild
I can see this
cards
being
in
Armin's
there.
walk up for sure.
It's always wild cards when Armin goes in for a banger.
You know, last week he actually.
Granted, you also find out like 10 minutes before you go in there, generally.
It's true. Yeah, I do. Last week he asked for individual ones. I did pick my own, guys. I picked Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, Good Vibrations. That was my walk-up song.
That's a great walk-up for Armin
For me,
Sarian.
I
Always
think
bring
that's
good
good.
vibes.
I tried to be, yeah.
There's never not energy in that building when Armin's ready to roll. It's one that we have to figure out here pretty soon. Now, I do kind of wish that it was more of a story or a Mike Heller poll question that was about like which guy walking up to the plate would strike out 15 times, right?
Sure.
Like there's not a whole lot of negative connotation to this Mike Heller staff poll question, which is generally one of the most fun parts of his Wednesday staff poll question, where he dogs somebody.
Sure,
This
absolutely.
one's just going to be, hey, which one do you think is the best walk-up song? That's why you got to swing for the fence and hit something good.
No doubt. This is normally Mike's passive aggressive way of taking a shot at somebody.
Usually it is.
Always.
Oh, it's usually like that. That's what's fun about the Wednesday stat poll question. Usually for Mike is that it usually is meant to see who gets embarrassed, but it's like not him doing it. It's the voters, which I enjoy. And you're right. This kind of is a break from that. It's more like which song do you like better? Unless
That's why it might not be good.
Yeah, it might not.
It might be a dud of a poll question. Most effort he's ever put into one might just turn out to be a dud.
Right. And we gotta
probably will turn out to be a dud.
I'm just worried about us coming up with one that we can all agree on. Because we're all kind of coming from different
Then just
angles.
don't give him one.
No, I don't want to do it that way. We're gonna participate.
Then don't worry about it.
I'm not worried. I mean, I'm
just
not
give
gonna
him
stay
the
up
intro
late.
to our song and say this is literally our walk-up music.
Yeah.
I think we've had some good suggestions.
I really
in here,
do.
though.
I
think we've had some good bangers. I think we've had some good beats. The one of the biggest things is you need to get the crowd going, because it's not only is it going to get you ready to go.
It's about the crowd.
It's about the crowd. That's why, like, if indeed 22 by Taylor Swift was somebody's walk-up song, good luck telling me that the crowd's not singing along, right? Like, so you do want to get something that's somewhat hype, but also we're entertainers. You got to be putting on a show, and you need to get the crowd involved, right? Not all are the best professional wrestlers the best wrestlers. No. The Rock actually has boring moves, doesn't do anything, but nobody has the crowd in the palm of their hand like the final boss, The Rock.
It's a good point. I mean, that's an absolutely excellent point. It's about the energy you create with the crowd, right? It's about that vibe. It's about that, that type of, energy. So that's a good point.
It's like when Rory is walking up a back nine, or pardon me, second 9 at Augusta. Second 9 at Augusta.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had to correct myself there. Didn't want to piss off any golf fans like some young lady Julia did by going and playing golf. There is a rumor on out here, John, that you brought to our attention about one Rory McIlroy, who has said a lot of different things, and stood very firmly against the LIV Tour. And little rumors on out there that one Rory might be getting interested by some numbers that are being floated around by the LIV Tour. How different and how bad of a heel turn would that be for young Rory if he ended up turning heel and going over to the LIV Tour after all that he said about it?
It was one thing when Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka all left, because we were like, yeah, I mean, those are definitely the guys who are going to leave first, right? They're kind of the I don't give a bleep crowd when it comes to golf and rules and regulations and gentlemanly type things to do. I'm in it to make the money, and I'll see you when the majors roll around. Like, none of that surprised us. It was one thing when Rahm left, because it was like, well, damn, Rahm is kind of squeaky clean, but he didn't say a whole hell of a lot. Rory is self-proclaimed squeaky clean, puts himself at the top of that purest mantle. And if this turns out to be true, that Rory is being bought by LIV, that is a heel turn of all heel turns. And that might be the biggest heel turn we've ever seen in professional sports.
Now, Now he has made a statement here that is provided to us by Todd Lewis of the Golf Channel. Just moments ago, had a conversation with Rory out at one of the, I'm assuming one of the practice, warming up by one of the just tee boxes, hanging out. There's a lot of lads behind them swinging.
Lads.
And one Todd Lewis is able to ask Rory McIlroy, an exclusive from the Golf Channel just moments ago, if those rumors were true, and if indeed he is being tempted by what the reported rumor number was, $850 million for Rory McIlroy.
Rory, media circles that you have been on.
Anymore.
Oh, gee.
For the rest of my career.
There you have it.
Lies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, he
No
never
idea how it
once
starts.
he never once says there, if I'm offered 850 million, I'm
See
turning
ya.
it down.
Yeah.
He never once mentions that. I can. Could you imagine standing in that spot, man? Whew, those are the rumors. Most of these rumors that have come out about Liv turned out to be true. Most of these rumors about this guy jumping and that guy jumping and these reported numbers, that most of them turned out to be true. And they ended up leaving. And it surprised everybody at the time. But why would we be surprised? Because the rumors came out and then they turned out to be true. You think he's sitting there? I think that was a much more respectful, pointed answer than we had ever heard out of Rory in previous seasons. Remember, the end of
That's
last season called everybody by surprise when the PGA Tour said, oh, well, maybe we do need to talk with them. And maybe we do need to have this, coming together. And that pissed all the players off on the tour. They said, no, we can't do this. They are out and they're out for good. We can't possibly ever come back together. But then Jay Monahan says, oh, but wait, let's have these conversations. Let's see where that. They didn't get it done this year. And you heard Chuck Garbinian talk about it with us just last week. He believes at the end of this season, those conversations will be had again at the end of this golf season, going into next golf season, and potentially a change could be made this year. So if a change is going to get made and you're going to join these two groups, boy, right now would be the time to take your money, to heel turn, to flip, to take your money, get your payday on if you're Rory McIlroy. And I got to believe, because I'm just putting myself in his shoes. If I'm sitting here right now and I'm watching this whole thing just come down the pike like an unstoppable train, please, the rumors of 850 million, please be true. Please be true. Somebody call me tomorrow and from Liv and say these rumors are true so that I can accept this now, because I just backed off yesterday and said, who are we to judge a man taking that type of money, especially if I believe these tours are going to combine.
I still look at Rahm as the one that looked at the whole state of affairs, John, like you laid out. After Jay Monahan said, yeah, maybe we do have to have this union. He said, hold on, and I can still get 350 million?
Yeah.
Wait, that offer's still in there? Like it's still in my email? I can still click on it and accept? Yes, I'm going to do that and see what happens. And guess what? He's got 350 million bucks. Like that's a tough thing to say no to. And he never in there says, I have turned down $850 million.
Yeah.
Well, you say you
Because
never
he
had
can't.
conversations.
Could anybody turn down $850 million?
Everything there was very pointed, very accurate, and very to that day until he says, and I will always play on the PGA
He said
Tour.
that too, yeah.
That's the one thing that I said lies to. That's the one. Everything else I think
Wow.
was calculated and was about now, and I will always play on the PGA Tour. If they combine, you're still kind of playing on the tour.
I was going to say, if it's the World Golf Tour and they combine both of them, is
Okay.
he lying? Kind of.
No, well, he considers it still playing the tour, so that would be a point of contention. Does that consider? Well, I had the opposite reaction you guys did. I kind of believed him for what he said there. I didn't take it that way.
Oh, really?
I did. I don't know.
Yeah. That's very nice.
I know that's it's a total Armin reaction. I know.
I
get
you know
it.
what? I believe him too. I believe that they have not offered him $850 million.
Well, that would be
if
that's
they're
absurd.
giving you any kind of
That's
offer
absurd.
that's in the 9-figure stratosphere,
I agree. It's ridiculous. It ain't gonna happen.
not being that staunchly against it. That audio once again from Golf Central, thanks to your boy Todd Lewis of the Golf Channel for giving us that audio. 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon on the game. Round third, head for home right after this. Now we're talking.
I think we found it.
Now we're talking. Yep.
I think this is it.
Yep.
Since days of under ruse. Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah,
All right,
I think this has got to be it.
Should I submit it?
Yeah, do it.
Official submission.
So this is-
I
11:50.
think this is it.
All right.
Yeah, it's done. Locked in. We found the 9 to noon walk-up song.
Yes.
And by the way, spring has sprung. Let's go. Now through April 28th. When you buy $75 or more, use promo code 30SPRING. Get 30% off the entire Iron Jock collection. 30% off quarter zips, hoodies, jackets, polos, men's and women's everything. IronJock.com for more details. IronJoc.com. Promo code 30SPRING. Electric pole, Armin. Great.
Yeah.
Under the
Appreciate it.
wire, just inside the arc. That's a buzzer beater right there. Hopefully we're seeing. Actually, hopefully we don't need any Dame time buzzer beaters. But if he's hitting one for a game winner, in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as long as we're getting to the second round, I don't
Sure.
care when it is.
Wouldn't it be amazing if this thing went the exact opposite of what we're all fearing, and the Bucks were just awesome and blowing people out, and Dame went nuts, and the crowd was just going, I'm just trying to manifest these good things.
We
you know?
do need to manifest a little bit better,
energy, maybe
better energy for the
Yeah.
Milwaukee Bucks.
He
It's rough
actually
right
asked that question. Wouldn't it be awesome?
Wouldn't it be, John?
No, it wouldn't.
It would actually suck
How'd that
if they
answer
won.
sound? How'd that answer sound to you? Was that going down with a nice spoonful of medicine?
Fair enough. All right,
Really
now
would suck if they won games that way.
just be awesome if it happened. Now I'm not going to tell you what to do here this last few minutes, but
Oh,
can we talk about a former Brewer that caught the case? He caught the case.
I mean, okay,
I can't believe this story. All right, I can't believe this story.
I'm glad you're as fired up for it as I am.
I'm not excited.
Thanks
for him.
to RJ Anderson for the story. Former Milwaukee Brewer and former MLB shortstop Yuniesky Betancourt in some hot water this morning. He appeared in parts of 9 MLB seasons, one of which was the 2011 season with the Milwaukee Brewers, where they were a couple of games away from going to the World Series. Uni B facing up to 10 years in prison if he's convicted on the following arrests for Miami-Dade County on several charges. Those include staging an accident, insurance fraud, organized scheme to defraud, and grand theft.
What you doing, Uni? You already got away with it. And when I say get away with it, I mean playing Major League Baseball and making $15 million. He should be in jail for that already, for that career. Okay,
but unfortunately, it sounds like unlike Cherokee Parks, he doesn't have any championship rings to sell to make that money back.
Why'd you just say that?
All the money he lost, I don't know if he has any of those rings to sell to make his money back.
He does it.
No. Well, you could sell that 2011 Brewers NL Central Championship hat that he was wearing during the celebration. Would that sell for anything?
Well, I mean, if a Final Four ring for a back-to-back champion was going for what, $1,500, what you going to get for that hat?
I can't
sweaty
imagine.
old
$20,
especially
hat.
when people realize it was Uni B's, the least popular.
Man, you were just hating
No.
on number 3 Uni B.
He doesn't like fraud. He doesn't like fraud.
Just keeping it
That
real.
bothers him.
The guy should have already been arrested for that negative 2.4 career WAR. All right, let's just be honest. All right, now, Uni B. What did he do? He staged an accident.
Yeah, here's the rest of the story. Allegedly was part of a 4-person scheme that staged a car crash, faked injuries to defraud Kemper Insurance, and the state's investigation found that after the accident report date, all 4 individuals sought treatment and physical therapy for injuries they never sustained regarding the accident. Kemper Insurance was billed over $61,000 from 2 clinics and paid over $22,000 in therapy billing, of which none of the 4 individuals were entitled. It doesn't matter how clever you think your scheme may be. If you commit fraud in Florida, you will get caught and brought to justice, says Florida CFO Jimmy Patrians.
Well, he's been
Your boy
brought to
Patrian
justice.
sent a statement. Staging accidents is incredibly dangerous, and fraud like this costs every Floridian in the form of higher auto insurance premiums. We must continue to work together to do everything we can to uncover these fraud schemes and bring these scam artists to justice.
And you're right, John. No rings to sell.
And that's going to be Yuniesky Betancourt. Hit 80 home runs in major leagues.
He had moments. He actually had a couple big moments for the Brewers in that 11 season. In game 5, he had an RBI single in game against the Diamondbacks. And in game 1 against the Cardinals had a homer, but overall was just,
you're not lying. And
blink.
career OPS plus of 80.
It's not good.
That's not good. That's like 20 points well below MLB average. That's a tough beat. I thought we were going to go John Sterling. I thought our takeaway was going to be John Sterling battling through, getting hit with a foul ball and calling it a career at 85 immediately. Said, guys, I'm out. I'm not doing another game. So quit asking. I'm done. I've called 5,420 games, and I'm going to end on that number right there for John Sterling. Hell of a career. Hell of a career there at WFAN. Hell of a show here today, fellas.
Good show, guys. Way to go.
Hell of a show. Great work.
Song.
Dinner tonight.
We'll
better believe it.
Yep.
Followed by maybe cigars somewhere or some shenanigans. I don't know. We'll
potentially. Now Armin's got to ask permission first.
I'm not going to promise anything.
I think he already has a hall pass. I mean, I would hope so.
Well, maybe.
This date should have been in Cozy. Should have been in Cozy. Well, not that kind of hall pass.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, damn.
Armin's hall pass is just being allowed out of the house till he wants to go home.
Right.
Not when you have to.
Has this been in Cozy since we said it 2 months ago?
We don't have the Cozy app, but maybe we should come
up
with that.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna be honest. I remembered it this morning, so I'm fired up. This was a great celebration to kick off the day and kick off the week. I'm fired up to go and have some steak.
I'm turning off tracking tonight.
That's Armin Sari, and he's one of one. John Kuhn, I'm Billy Schmidt. We'll be back tomorrow and try to be better on Wednesday. It's 9 to noon on the game. Jeez Louise.